5500 CrossComPublicAdjusters.com.
Don't miss Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn every Sunday from 11 to 12. Robert has a different way of looking at retirement from most financial advisors and is happy to share his ideas with you every week. So don't miss what he has to say on AM 560 The Answer. Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, Sunday mornings from 11 to 12.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long, not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The Iranian regime has waged war against the United States for nearly 47 years. The president clearly thought that we had sufficiently weakened the regime and he'd be able to strike a deal. Indeed, he spent 60 days trying, but the shoot-down of our Apache helicopter may have changed things. The Iranian regime has given Trump plenty of reasons to walk away from the negotiating table, starting from the very first hours of the so-called ceasefire in the Persian Gulf. The Houthi violated the agreement from the very start, imposing an extortionate fee system for sailing through the international waters of the Strait of Hormuz and firing on commercial vessels that refused to comply. Trump has invested a lot of his credibility and trust in the IRGC's negotiations. Now, however, Trump sounds as though he suddenly woke up to the sunk cost fallacy, saying they've taken too long and now they will have to pay the price. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This war has to be fought to the finish. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
It is that time of year again to save babies by providing ultrasounds with our friends at Preborn. You know how this goes. We've done it every single year at this time. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I want to provide a free ultrasound to a girl. Give her the chance to see the truth of what's happening in her body. Every $28 helps do that, saving one baby. $280 can do that, help save 10 babies. More does more. The phone number is 833-850-2229. 833-850-BABY. Join us saving babies with Preborn again this year. We're going to save hundreds of babies, one at a time, 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. That phone number again is 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. or go online to 560theanswer.com/baby.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring mostly sunny skies with a breeze and lower humidity levels. The high will reach 81 degrees. Tonight will be clear with a low of 64. Tomorrow, expect warm temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine. It'll be breezy in the afternoon with showers and heavy thunderstorms moving in at night. The high will be 87 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So there's an end to the war in Iran, or the preemptive de-escalatory strikes. There's an end to it. There's a settlement. There's an MOU that has been agreed to by President Trump and the gay cardboard Ayatollah. That's what we're told. Yesterday, Trump on Fox and Friends First, basically saying that after the latest round of strikes and retaliatory strikes by the Iranians, retaliatory strikes, including the Iranian strikes, including the downing of a U.S. Apache helicopter, and the retaliatory strikes, that Iran is finished.
They're finished. But the papers, the media refuses to write it. They're finished. We can walk in there tomorrow. We could take soldiers. I don't want to have boots on the ground, but if I wanted to, we could put a small group of soldiers and take over the whole place. They're finished. And the media is crooked. They're just like our elections. The media is crooked.
Okay, and so later in the Oval Office, he announced in very un-Trump-like, understated fashion that there's a deal.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like, if the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up, oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before.
So the strait will be opened, the blockade will be lifted. There's agreement conceptually on the nuclear material. Nobody can get to it because it's buried under a mountain, we're told.
Maybe soon. Maybe this weekend.
And has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
And when this deal is signed, is the United States going to immediately lift the blockade?
Yes, that's true. That's part of the deal.
And
you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
And sir, have you actually secured an agreement on the discussions about the nuclear material and the nuclear negotiations?
Yes, conceptually on that, and nobody's getting close to it because it's buried under a mountain.
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Are you buying what the president is selling, that we have achieved the objectives here? No nuclear weapons. Obtaining the enriched uranium, the nuclear dust, as he calls it. Obtaining it. Either they're going to give it to us or we're going to go in and take it. Those were his words, repeatedly over the last 100 days. And an end to funding terrorist proxies in the region. I mean, 49 Tomahawk missile strikes over the last 24 to 36 hours, and all of a sudden the Iranians crumble and get the deal that Trump wants? Does that pass the skeptics test with you? A reporter asking President Trump why this time it's different. So many times we've heard over the last several weeks that we're very close. We're very close. Thus his resistance to escalate. Thus his chiding of Israel for any re-engagement in hostilities with Hezbollah and Lebanon, for example. Why is it different?
On that, you have said before that Iran and the United States were close to a deal. It has not happened yet. Why are you so convinced that this time is different?
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. And we could have had it done the other way, I guess, but it would have taken longer. They got hit very hard recently, as you know, and I don't like to have to do things that way, but I felt it was necessary. It's a great deal for the United States and for the Middle East, and I think ultimately great for Iran because they'll be able to build up their country and have a country. I really believe it's a regime change because I find these people to be much more rational than the people that are no longer with us.
Right. The same people you intermittently call lunatics are also rational and represent regime change. Those two characterizations are sort of mutually exclusive. So the recent lobbing of Tomahawk missiles at preordained targets, combined with the threat of taking Karg Island, that's what led the mullahs, these IRGC leftovers, to cave.
Is the Karg Island operation off the table, and are you ruling out boots
Well,
on the ground
now
at
it
this
would
point?
be. If we signed this agreement, it would be. They weren't so thrilled when they heard that that's what I would have done. And
So JD is going to go to Europe this weekend. It's an undisclosed time and location to memorialize this memorandum of understanding. Could happen as soon as this weekend, and then it's all over, and mission accomplished banner drops. The Middle East is remade. Is Iran joining the Abraham Accords?
took them out at night, and the Strait will officially open as soon as we sign, which could be soon, very soon, maybe over the weekend, in Europe. I won't be able to be there, but JD will be there, Vice President, and some of the people. Steve Woodcock did a great job, Jared. So we'll take some questions, but right now we're here to talk about.
Yeah. Tony in Downers Grove.
Yes, well, this is delusional arrogance on display. I mean, he is not the only general in the Stratego game, and that's what he thinks. And I'm not sure who's moving the football. Is it Lucy or Charlie Brown?
Okay, thanks for the call, Tony. Not buying it. I'll put you in the not buying it category. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. You know what? A year ago, we obliterated their chance for nuclear weapons, and then we've obliterated their Navy about 17 times, in the past few months. Obliterated this, killed this, done that. Everything's done 30 times, and now he wants to go over to Karg Island. It's, about 110 degrees Fahrenheit in Karg Island? What are those Marines going to drink while they're there? We're going to bring a super tanker of water there to fight these guys?
Well,
this guy's out of his mind, man. And lastly, it's like, did Trump get Netanyahu's permission to do this? Because he seems to be the only one that really counts these days.
Thanks for the call.
One, man.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Well, I mean, he said he spoke to, all of the relevant parties.
Anything else comes down? And most importantly, we have a deal that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which was the whole purpose of what we had to go through to get this. So it was a very big thing. But we have a signing soon, and the documents are in pretty final shape. So we'll see.
Pretty final shape.
Very good. Should be done.
Pretty final.
That should be done pretty quickly. They want it every bit as much as everybody else wants it. And I think a lot of good relationships can ensue from this. I just spoke with the leaders of many of the countries that were mentioned in the release. I just spoke to Bibi. I spoke to the great heads of nations, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. And we're going to be talking to Turkey President Erdogan is great. And
it's not great, but
wonderful
okay.
thing with a lot of spirit. Pakistan was fantastic.
Everybody's great. Everybody's fantastic. Everybody's on board. Happy day. Although not the normal enthusiasm you get for Trump, the sort of big, beautiful bill enthusiasm you get when he feels like he's really accomplished something substantial. Obviously, the details will be important. You know, Iran's agreed to never have a nuclear weapon. Okay, well, so what's the specific performance that guarantees it? What's the enforcement mechanism? All of these questions that we don't know answers to yet because we don't know what is pretty much been agreed to, pretty much been agreed to, and whether it will actually be memorialized as soon as this weekend. We'll talk more about this with Robert Farley, who's an international relations professor, at the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. But that's where things stand now. I think I won't go as far as Tony from Downers Grove went, but I don't see how what's happened over the last 24 to 36 hours, all of a sudden resulted in this sea change where the stated objectives that Trump outlined going into this campaign and throughout this campaign were magically realized by this crew of mullahs in Tehran. I'm skeptical. Let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
61 degrees, 534 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A much more comfortable day ahead. But last night, tornadoes did touch down in several communities in Illinois and Indiana amid a severe outbreak. Multiple confirmed tornadoes were reported in Streator and Dwight. Damage extended into the Chicago suburbs like Bridgeview and Justice.
We heard it coming, so we hurried up and ran into the bathroom and sat on the bathroom floor. Her house is okay, but the other people's around here is just totally devastated. So, no, we heard the sirens and we stayed in the bathroom.
Families in Streator reacting to the damage last night. A large and damaging tornado also made its way through Lake and Porter counties in northwest Indiana. Because of that extensive damage, South Shore Line trains will not be running from Millennium Station to South Bend. Patrick Winter went into the basement in St. John's, Indiana, when sirens went off.
Yeah, he was real scared. So then we jumped in the car, came home, couldn't believe what we saw.
Ground stop was called for at O'Hare, big delays at Midway, and we're hearing this morning just to our north in Union Grove, Wisconsin, and near the town of Paris. Confirmed tornadoes touched down.
Yes, yeah, both. I just want to make sure everybody's okay, and then, you wonder what you're going to wake up to tomorrow.
The owner of a local bar there, NIPSCO in northwest Indiana, reports about 45,000 customers or more without power, while ComEd in the Chicago area has over 160,000 outages on their coverage map, which actually stretches all the way from the Quad Cities to the south side of Chicago. Turning to other stories this morning, 3 people face charges after a shooting during an undercover ATF operation in Country Club Hills. Authorities are investigating after a body was pulled from Lake Opeka in Des Plaines. Officers responded to that lake Wednesday night after receiving reports of a man in the water, later identified as Jorge Ramirez Contreras of Rosemont. The latest delay in property tax billing by Cook County is going to cost local government. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle saying the county's property tax bridge fund was reintroduced at yesterday's board meeting to try and help local governments deal with the gaps in cash flow.
The program will make available up to $300 million in no-interest loans to eligible taxing districts.
Chicago Alderman Brendan Riley says Cook County's $30 million deal with Tyler Technologies to upgrade tax billing is a complete and utter failure.
And now 11 years later and millions in cost overruns later, we see these tax bills coming out months late.
Legislation requiring the county to reimburse taxing districts for interest lost and debts incurred did not advance during the General Assembly's spring session.
40th Scottish Highland Games and Festival kicked off in Wheaton and Naperville last night.
And it's a moment where I've seen generations of families kind of hold hands and look silently into their eyes, and time and distance seem to disappear and leave this unique and beautiful connection.
Gus Noble with the festival tells us even for fans of a certain drink, there will be fun. Whiskey seminars tonight and tomorrow at the fairgrounds. Chicago sports, Cubs snap a 3-game losing skid with a 9-2 victory over the Rockies. White Sox had their game with Atlanta called off. Men's College World Series gets underway in Omaha. And your John Cass World Cup soccer update. Mexico beat South Africa 2-0. Later in the day, South Korea took down Czechia 2-1 in Guadalajara. U.S. team kicks off today. Sorry, Mr. Cass, Greece did not qualify again. The news, a service of Jewel Osco. Whether it's beefsteak tomatoes for 69 cents a pound, 6-ounce blackberries at 99 cents, or sweet red cherries for $2.99 a pound. Discover all kinds of incredible digital produce finds at Jewel Osco in the For You app. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and in 2 minutes, an update on your quiet AccuWeather forecast.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny, breezy, and less humid with a high of 81. Tonight will be clear with a low of 64. Tomorrow expect warm temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine. It'll be breezy in the afternoon with showers and heavy thunderstorms moving in at night. The high for tomorrow will reach 87 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and since Mike Scott has broken the seal and begun reporting on FIFA, and he mentioned John Cass, not in an instant request, but I feel compelled to follow up with my customary ridicule of soccer vis-a-vis the great satire of The Simpsons.
Halfback passes to the center. Back to the wing. Back to the center. Center holds it. Holds it. Holds it.
Yes, FIFA, the FIFA World Cup, to decide who is the greatest nation on earth.
This match will determine once and for all which nation is the greatest on earth, Mexico or Portugal.
Okay, let's use that as an entree to talk a little bit about mass immigration. A good post by Kevin Bass, who was bounced out of Texas Tech, his PhD program, for daring to criticize the COVID response. Just a little backstory on him before we get to his post on mass immigration and re-immigration. This is something he posted a little more than a year ago, after his COVID experience and getting, effectively canceled. I was a lifelong Democrat. I thought most conservatives were ignorant or evil or lying. I believed almost everything written in the New York Times, the New Republic, and the Atlantic. I was horrified when conservatives criticized the authorities. Every criticism I saw, I thought all of it was motivated by animus, resentment, self-interest, or ignorance. Whatever truth there might have been in the criticism, I saw as a mere half-truth, an exploitation of this or that cherry-picked fact being weaponized. Why did I see it in terms of weaponization? Because I was biased. I saw liberal establishment institutions and figures as fundamentally good, so all criticism of them was automatically interpreted as being in bad faith. Didn't the critics know these institutions or figures were fundamentally good? If they didn't, they were ignorant. If they did, they were evil. It was that simple. This meant that any legitimate criticisms would be dismissed as if bouncing off an impenetrable bulletproof shield. This all changed once I started writing about the pandemic. Soon people were talking about me the way I once thought about conservatives. Funny how that happens. This led to a complete identity collapse as I came to understand that my old worldview was hateful and ignorant, that I hadn't understood what I had been judging. I cannot forget the hearing that led to my dismissal from medical school. I think I said PhD, medical school, at Texas Tech. I cannot forget the hearing that led to my dismissal from medical school a year after I started writing. During the hearing, people talked about me as if I wasn't human. My behavior was interpreted in the worst possible light. Complete fabrications were created. Nobody was concerned with the truth, only horrified at my apparent quote-unquote unprofessional behavior, which was really a mirror of their unprofessional behavior directed at me. Well, unprofessional behavior to them is, you disagree with me. That's unprofessional. That's my parenthetical comment. Anyway, back to Mr. Bass. They structured the hearing to make it virtually impossible for me to speak and explain that what was being said was a lie. And nobody seemed to have any problem with this. Why? Because I was bad. If I'm bad, then every mistreatment and every violation of the school's own policies became justified. A person who is bad does not deserve any rights. They only deserve punishment. But the thing I remember most was the allusions to my social media activity. They said, quote, Kevin is driven by resentment from his childhood. Quote. I wasn't. I was on good terms with my parents. They alleged that I needed psychotherapy to deal with this trauma. It was a completely fake story that they had constructed about me, to demean me, to marginalize me, to try and explain the views I had expressed that something terribly wrong had happened during the pandemic. They couldn't imagine that I might have legitimate points. So they reduced me to the same kinds of psychological caricatures that I once reduced conservatives to in my own mind. When I was dismissed from medical school, I was broken. But I had help from friends who helped me understand what happened. And I came to realize that a hysteria had overtaken the left. I spent a lot of time reading about show trials, about witch trials, and so on. I also connected with people that experienced similar things and came to realize that something similar had happened to hundreds of physicians around the country. My story wasn't unique. It was all the same story over and over again. I can't believe the person I once was. I can't believe that I could exist like that. I still don't understand how I could be like that or how millions of people in this country could continue being like that. It disturbs me greatly. One thing I know is that whatever this thing is that is driving people crazy needs to be destroyed. It is hostile to civilization and to our humanity. It causes us to dehumanize each other and to try to destroy each other. It is the very same monstrous thing I once attributed to conservatives, but it had been inside me, and I could now see it inside others. This is something I still grapple with. That's, quite the reflection. Of course, it took, a significant fall from grace. The idea you were on your track to be a doctor, and then you get canceled by the Panjan drums at the Texas Tech Medical School, and then it leads to this reflection and consideration of other people's viewpoints and understanding of similar experiences and a similar sort of fact pattern of people who were also wronged. Just very interesting because, he's obviously an intelligent, thoughtful guy. And, now he's on the side of attacking those who traffic in lies for the purposes of destroying people who they disagree with, for the purposes of obtaining political power, for the purposes of subjugating people they agree and disagree with, even if some are cheerleading along the way. And that brings us to Bass's post about one of these matters. It's not the pandemic, but the dynamic is not dissimilar. We talked about it yesterday, and Eli Steele had a great distillation of Keir Starmer's response to the attempted beheading in Belfast that has lit Northern Ireland up, literally. Bass looked at some data on migration and remigration, and he offered a helpful perspective on this issue. Mass remigration of immigrants to their home countries is the historical normal. Let me say that again. Mass remigration of immigrants to their home countries is the historic normal. Between 1900 and 1910, 3/4 of immigrants to America re-immigrated to their home countries. Between 1910 and 1920, that figure was 97%. Immigrants' countries of origin had a major impact on rates of remigration. Southern Europeans and Irish had the highest rates at 75 to 85% during that first decade of the 20th century. Meanwhile, those from Northwestern Europe had much lower rates of remigration, 50 to 60% during the same period. Immigrants from Russia, with high numbers of Russian Jews, had the lowest rates of remigration, only 41% during the same period. Subsequent work has shown that those who stayed had higher economic success than those who returned to their countries of origin. So mass remigration is historically normal. Masses of violent, low IQ populations of immigrants dependent on the Western welfare state and radical left-wing ideology is historically abnormal. In other words, what you see has happened in Western Europe over the last 3 decades, and what was and has been and continues to be attempted by the left in this country, most spectacularly under the big guy, of course. His conclusion from looking at the data and the experience of migration over the last 100 years to America, immigration and remigration. America is not strong because of immigration. It is strong because it attracted and kept the best immigrants. It's time to re-migrate these dysfunctional, violent populations. It's time to return to normal. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Talk and text line, call and text line. Speaking of which, vetting, because that's in part what we're talking about on the front end, in addition to dynamics on the back end. This meets FIFA because both two individuals that tried to gain access to America, tried to come here as part of the FIFA spectacle, One, Iraqi official, another a Somali referee, soccer referee, were denied entrance. And, of course, Canada was quick to turn and say, well, we'll accept the Somali referee because we're a welcoming people. Markwayne Mullin was asked about that amid the accusations of racism and xenophobia and bad faith and so forth. And this is what he had to say about the new paradigm under this president.
Or we're not going to allow people that have criminal or maybe perceived to have criminal ties to come into this country. I don't care what your situation is. I'm not going to get into why we denied this individual, but there's a reason why this person was denied. Now, the left media wants to go out there and report and say this guy's a victim of because we're, anti-Somalia. No, we're not. We work closely with FIFA and the administration on a regular basis. We talk to FIFA and their directors constantly. Anybody that was denied, we made the case for and showed them why they were denied. Now, to get into the specifics of it, I'm not getting into the specifics of it. But Iran chose that was a difficult path. If there was any country we wasn't going to allow in here, Iran would probably be the reason why we wouldn't allow them in here. But we did, and we worked closely with the individuals with restrictions. And so there was multiple, more than just these two, there was multiple individuals throughout. We have a World Cup here. We got a lot of countries that doesn't exactly have access to the United States, and we did a phenomenal job on getting as many people cleared as we could, but some people just can't clear.
Yeah, some people you just can't clear and shouldn't. That's certainly the feeling in Belfast today, isn't it? At least among many, not all, not some of the politicians. We have a little bit more color on that Sudanese individual who attempted to behead that Scottish man. Family and friends telling the Telegraph in the UK that this individual, who has been named now, Hadi El Odeid, was from a large and politically connected family from the town of Karima, Sudan. Born and partly raised in Saudi Arabia, but returned to Sudan for his education. He was a police officer in Khartoum, but only for a few months. In 2023, during a civil war in Sudan, he and this other guy who is an associate of his went to Libya. And then they were smuggled in a boat. This guy, the guy who attempted the beheading, and two of his brothers were smuggled in a boat across the Mediterranean, where they made their way to Paris. Then they made their way to Ireland through Dublin before crossing the open border into Northern Ireland and claiming asylum in the UK. So that's how it happened. Because the UK has created a streamlined asylum process that allows migrants to be granted a free stay based on a simple questionnaire instead of a face-to-face interview, they were immediately allowed to remain. Basically what we were doing under Biden. So this guy, the attempted beheader, and his brother settled in Belfast. They were just three of tens of thousands who have arrived in Britain between 2023 or since 2023. The victim, as we talked about yesterday, thanks in part to neighbors knowing who this guy was and what happened to him. Word gets around, small community, relatively, neighborhood at least. Stephen Ogilvie is the victim. And again, the neighbor, as we brought you yesterday, said that Stephen Ogilvie was actually trying to help, or previously was helping, these Sudanese asylees, in quotation marks. The exact nature of why this guy committed this gruesome act is unclear still. He lost his left eye and his face is carved up like Swiss cheese, it's being described. But Ogilvie also not necessarily a good guy. He's got he's a repeat criminal offender with many convictions in Northern Ireland, and he has convictions in Scotland, too, including slapping a stroke victim and assaulting police officers in 2020. Apparently, he's a drug addict who was also set on fire by a drug dealer 25 years ago in Scotland. They lived in the same apartment building, but again, the relationship and the reason for the attack has not been given other than to say that, whatever. One was he was allegedly helping the attempted beheader, and they obviously had a falling out. Don't know why, but boy, it's sort of the intersection of two categories of societal pathology we talk about a lot. Repeat violent offenders with mental health or addiction problems or just violent tendencies. Repeat violent offenders that are allowed to prey on the law-abiding over and over again, and then open borders. And these two, ironically, seem to be the intersection of that. But something, because I know what the response will be in part. See, legal citizens commit crimes too. Sure. Yeah, I know. We all know. Thank you. So, again, just...
President Trump says the war with Iran has ended. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Telling a rally in Georgia he called into last night for Republican candidate for Governor Burt Jones.
They have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon, something that we insisted on. That was the whole purpose. That was 95% of it.
But Iran's foreign ministry says it's not a done deal yet, and they won't compromise on their red lines in any agreement. And Fox's Doug Luzader reports.
It looks like the U.S. military had to once again come to the defense of ships in the region. According to a senior U.S. official, it appears Iran has attempted to strike commercial ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz tonight. U.S. forces shot down 2 Iranian one-way attack drones. Traffic flow through the strait continues, but the president did pull back from another round of airstrikes on Iran that were set to happen last night. He called them off after saying once again that a deal was at hand.
Should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing.
Oil prices are down more than 3%. Stock futures are rising on this potential deal the morning after the Dow surged more than 900 points, gaining back what was lost in Wednesday's big sell-off. And today, one stock will get launched. SpaceX.
And what is expected to be the biggest public offering of stock ever. $75 billion worth of shares. We're expecting a share price of $135. Take it or leave it. That's going to be the number. Ticker SPCX. But the big headline, if all goes according to plan, CEO Elon Musk could become the world's first trillionaire.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. A win for President Trump. A federal appeals court's ruled his new global tariffs, 10%, are likely legal under the statute he imposed them, undoing a lower court's block. The new tariffs were levied after the Supreme Court angered the president, blocking bigger tariffs, ruling he exceeded his authority. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. A comfortable 61 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Our top story on WIND Chicago. Tornadoes touched down in several communities in Illinois and Indiana amid severe outbreaks last night. Multiple confirmed tornadoes reported in Streeter and Dwight.
We heard it coming, so we hurried up and ran into the bathroom and sat on the bathroom floor. Her house is okay, but the other people's around here is just totally devastated. So, no, we heard the sirens and we stayed in the bathroom.
Damage extended all the way into the Chicago suburbs like Bridgeview and Justice. Large and damaging tornadoes made their way through Lake and Porter counties in northwest Indiana. Because of that, South Shore trains will not be running between Millennium Station and South Bend. Just to our north in Union Grove, Wisconsin, near the town of Paris as well, confirmed tornadoes.
Yes, yeah, both. I just want to make sure everybody's okay, and then, you wonder what you're going to wake up to tomorrow.
This morning, northwest Indiana, NIPSCO reporting 45,000 customers in the dark, while ComEd has over 160,000 outages. Chicago sports. Cubs snap a 3-game losing skid with a 9-2 win over the Rockies. White Sox had their game with Atlanta called off due to stormy weather. Men's College World Series is about to get underway. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS, 613114. A check of the roads comes your way in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe sees great numbers from the economy.
We got 172,000 jobs. The forecast was 85,000 new jobs. So this is twice as much. The trend that we're accelerating, economists have underestimated job growth now 3 straight months, as noted. 3 months average, widely considered a more reliable gauge.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long. Not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. It's fairly obvious they were inspired by Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free, plus unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic, plus free next-day delivery, plus 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
6:08. Let's take a look at the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Just a reminder, a lot of places have roads closed, at least temporarily, because of the storm damage. Like Maryville, Indiana, Broadway is shut down, both north and southbound. around 61st. Kenosha, Wisconsin, US 45. North and southbound shut down at Burlington Road. Ongoing closures there because of major storm damage. Also, Highway 142 east and westbound near Kenosha, Wisconsin, shut down near 136th. Here in the Chicago area, the Kennedy jammed up inbound between Bessie Coleman and the Tri-State, and delays on I-57. An accident just reported outbound at 159. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, check on your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny, breezy, and less humid with a high of 81. Tonight will be clear with a low of 64. Tomorrow, expect warm temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine. It'll be breezy in the afternoon with showers and heavy thunderstorms moving in at night. The high for tomorrow will reach 87 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I just want to finish what I was discussing at the top of the end of the last hour. I sort of wasn't paying attention to the clock and I got myself cut off. So engrossed in this situation in Belfast. And what it speaks to this larger point. America is strong because of immigration, yes, but historically because we attract and keep the best immigrants. Not in terms of necessarily country of origin or region of origin, but the individual qualities of the people who come and stay. And Kevin Bass, the person I was talking about last hour, went back and looked at the data and some academic research on this that, of course, is muted now because it doesn't comport with the prevailing wisdom of the intellectual set, so self-styled intellectual set. America is not strong because of immigration. It's strong because it attracted and kept the best immigrants. It's time to re-immigrate dysfunctional and violent populations. It's time to return to normal, what we used to do. Masses of violent, low IQ populations of immigrants dependent on the Western welfare state and radical left-wing ideology. That is what is abnormal. And it's producing terrible results on balance. So I was just mentioning the Sudanese quote-unquote asylumee in Belfast that attempted the beheading of this Scottish guy who also apparently is a habitual criminal, as I was discussing. The intersection of these pathologies, open borders, and the release of habitual predators to prey on the law-abiding again and again and again. We know this all too well in Cook County, both of those pathologies. And the anemic response from the open borders decarceration left is to say rehabilitation for the citizens, and citizens commit crimes too, and they do it so at higher rates than illegal immigrants, which is false. But even if it were true, that's not the point. Why would you indiscriminately allow people into this country who would add to the criminal element? Even if it was on the margins, which it's not, but even if it was, why wouldn't you vet them on the front end for their ability to assimilate and live independently? Denmark publishes crimes by country of origin, not nationality. Country of origin. 2021 to 2025 data. Overall, Somali origin, people of Somali origin in Denmark, commit crimes at nearly 8 times the rate of Danish citizens. By comparison, people of American origin living in Denmark commit crimes at 0.34 times the rate of Danish citizens. You can say, well, Americans commit crimes in Denmark at a higher rate than indigenous Danes. It's true by a small margin, but it's true. So if you want to make a case of doing a better job of vetting Americans coming over to live in Denmark, then have at it. That's the point. But you're talking about orders of magnitude when you're talking about third world or developing world people who are not socialized or have no desire to function responsibly in a free society or a semi-free European society. Nearly eight times the rate of indigenous Danes, Somalis commit crimes in Denmark. Lebanese, more than 6 times the rate. Moroccans, more than 4 times the rate. Iraqis, almost 4 times the rate. Syrians, 3.5 times the rate. And then you get to other countries, including the Western countries. Norwegians that immigrate to Denmark commit crimes at 0.58% times the rate. Netherlands, 0.56. Germany, 0.53. China, 0.44. And as I mentioned, USA, 0.34. So orders of magnitude. And, this is sterile data, but when you apply it to large populations, it turns out to have a real impact, particularly on those who are victims of crimes, preventable crime. And that's the other watch phrase in this discussion on both the domestic side and the imported side. Preventable crimes, if you exercise a little judgment on the front end and real consequences for straying from the rules on the back end. And that's what the Trump administration is doing. And this has been central to Trump's value proposition for the last decade. And I know there are many issues that intercede that must be discussed. But it is really central not just to the Trump administration, but it is central to the common sense counter-revolution to restore something approximating America's founding principles as we reflect upon what America has been over the last 250 years and what it should be going forward. And as we measure the success of this administration. This is not something you just wave away. People should be conversant in what's happening on this front. So we like to update you. For example, Markwayne Mullin yesterday updating us on the number of migrant children unaccounted for during the Biden administration. No vetting for the adults, no vetting for the adult sponsors, caretakers of unaccompanied minors sent across the border, the open border under Biden either. It's horrific. Tom Homan talks about this a lot as well. The Trump administration has found at least 146,000 migrant children, 146,000 kids. You want to talk about sound of freedom? 146,000 kids that were unaccounted for during Biden. A total of 450,000 went missing. So we're not there, and some of the accounting is dismal because some of the accounting is these kids are dead or they've been exploited. Mullen said, we're investigating reports where some of these kids claim they were raped 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids, or you don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal, you're independent, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you? And you know where we're finding most of them, said Mullen? Sanctuary cities, New York, Chicago, L.A., where the politicians refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement. 450,000 kids. And all these people running around pretending to be the great, defenders of the exploited and the marginalized. The vanguard for the unwashed masses yearning to breathe free. And they've allowed, they platformed and turned a blind eye to this sort of exploitation, which the Trump administration is trying to address as quickly as they can. And this is really important. And it is not publicized nearly enough as it should be, even on our show, I don't think. So I'm trying to do better. Also, the continued effort. Nothing's happening as fast as we would want it to because there's so much ugliness to undo, but the effort being put forward. The State Department has uncovered several birth tourism networks around the world. And here we go again, back to the right immigrants. The right immigrants, by their ability to assimilate and live independently, contribute to their country in service of their own interests and ours by extension. That's how it works when it works. And you can, and the race hustlers and, the left, the ad hominem from the left is just white noise in the face of all of this information and, an understanding of the real philosophy of how you consider a free society. In West Africa, a U.S. Embassy uncovered a sophisticated birth tourism network where more than 100 foreign nationals were using fraudulent documents to obtain visas and secure citizenship for their kids. The State Department is shutting down this birth tourism network, revoking the visas. The State Department posted on X, under President Trump, the State Department is defending the integrity of U.S. citizenship by ending illegal birth tourism schemes. No foreigner is permitted to obtain a visitor visa for the primary purpose of acquiring U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the U.S. An embassy in Europe found more than 400 suspected birth tourism cases since 2024. West Africa, Europe, North Africa, evidence of multiple plans to produce fraudulent documents and facilitate these birth tourism networks. So, they're on the job. And these are the people that the left vilifies. The rank and file of the Department of Homeland Security that are the primary men and women who are on the job doing this work. Tom in Tinley Park.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. You mentioned FIFA earlier, I think. Did you not?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes. We didn't allow in a couple of one Iraqi and one Somali official associated with FIFA because they couldn't pass muster. Yes.
Well, I'm retired, former military PD, and my youngest is just getting off the job on their shift. As far as I'm concerned, FIFA is one of the most corrupt, top to bottom entities around, and when we hosted them and gave away these phony awards, I think it's a waste of assets. I couldn't care less about all these wackadoo. I mean, when you look at some of these fans, these soccer fans from all over that are coming in, I have no use for them. I'm sorry, because I'm afraid that there's a lot of potential, and this is coming from my security aspect, a lot of potential of a lot of bad things going wrong here, and we don't, there's enough craziness going on right now. We don't need to host anymore. That's just my spin on it.
Okay, thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate that. Although, the flip side is, some of the fans, look, I'm no fan of this imitation sport called soccer. But there was some interesting posts, and this in particular. A German soccer fan came to the United States for FIFA World Cup, and he's been live tweeting his experience, and it's pretty cool. He's really enjoying himself in America, and it's sort of pretty cool to get his perspective. Like, he's posting pictures from Atlanta. Atlanta is so green, it's crazy. It feels like you're in a forest the whole time. Just passing through a town called Gainesville, and this place looks beautiful. The houses are insane. Wow. The Mecca that is Gainesville, Florida. This guy's Freddie LA7. I love Americans. We're about to walk an hour to the stadium in the rain to save on an Uber, and the reception at the hotel we were parked in front of us decided to drive us there. Late night road trip in the Georgia mountains. He's got live tweeting videos of that. Just had our first Waffle House experience at 1 a.m. Great food, great prices, friendly staff. We're coming back. Picture of the beautiful landscape in Tennessee. He's getting around. This is then he's at one. I don't know where the stadium is, but he's like, This is the quote, the European mind can comprehend this moment of my life. One of my friends said, punch me 5 times tomorrow and I still think this isn't real. He's the campus of Auburn University, noticing an eagle flying around the stadium, wherever he is. Dinner from Buc-ee's at 1 a.m. I mean, it's really interesting to get his perspective. It is, sort of Chris Arnott sort of back row American feel to this. It's pretty cool. So I'll give him a special dispensation, even though he's a soccer fan. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. Always a great show. I really enjoy listening to you. You really give me all the news.
Thank you.
Hey, I know that Mark Wayne Mullen, I did hear, and you tell me if this is true, I don't know, that those 146,000 children that were left over the border without any vetting, I can't believe that there's no sponsor vetting. So who are those sponsors? And then I heard that there was a phone call given to the children that if they had any problems that they were supposed to call this number. And the Biden administration had one person responsible for taking the phone calls. And there were like 65,000 phone calls that went on deaf ears. You know, Dan, it really is. We are such an oversexed country. The pedophilia. Oh my gosh! I wish the media would really get a hold of this and call out some of these villains.
Thanks for the call, Mark. I mean, that's exactly right about the so-called hotline to report abuse, one person manning it. I mean, they're indifferent because the unaccompanied minors, the sponsors, I mean, the open borders, generally speaking, it's all to the same end, which is political power, as Tom Homan has elucidated articulately time and again over the last decade. So now you have to unwind it all. But that's right. I mean, these sponsors, some of them are cartel related. Some of these are human trafficking, sex trafficking rings. Tom Homan has documented this. Mark Wayne Mullen now on the job. You see illegal child labor. I mean, exploitation takes a lot of different forms, but it's all ugly. And, those people that are being vilified by the left, the attempted defunding of those positions by the left, those are the people that are doing, the work of law enforcement, but also really, I mean, the Lord's work when it comes to trying to pull kids out of exploitive situations. Find them first. If they're with a parent and it's a paperwork or a relative, I should say, and it's a paperwork issue and so on and so forth, and they're fine and in good stead, great. But obviously a big percentage of the 450,000 kids that went unaccounted for are not in good situations. And that's been documented in real time as this administration has identified the locations and the states of 146,000 of them.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Molly Hemingway of The Federalist, inviting you to join me for the 2026 Issues, Etc. Making the Case Conference, Friday, June 12th and Saturday, June 13th at Concordia University, Chicago. I'll be speaking and signing copies of my new book, Alito, the Justice Who Reshaped the Supreme Court and Restored the U.S. Constitution. Learn more at issuesetc.org. Issuesetc.org.
Join Illinois Right to Life at the biggest pro-life night of the year. Our annual Leaders for Life Gala will be held on Thursday, June 18th at Drury Lane Theater and Events in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois, and will feature big names like detransitioner and pro-life advocate Chloe Cole and Congressman Bob Onder, sponsor of the Chloe Cole Act in Congress. Plus, experience our Pro-Life Expo and enjoy an open bar during the cocktail hour starting at 6 p.m. Come together with Illinois pro-lifers from across the state to hear about the Illinois Pro-Life March, Project Love, and so much more. AM 560 listeners get 50% off the ticket price with the code AM560. To get your tickets, head to IllinoisRightToLife.org/gala. That's IllinoisRightToLife.org/gala. This will be a night to remember.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
This match will determine once and for all which nation is the greatest on earth. You'll see all your favorite soccer stars like Arriaga, Arriaga 2, Bariaga, Aruglia, and Pizzozza.
Yeah, FIFA fever, catch it. Coming up at 6:36, we'll talk to a professor from University of Kentucky's School of Diplomacy and International Commerce. Robert Farley joins us to talk about this alleged memorandum of understanding that Trump has forged with the Ayatollah. An agreement has been made, a settlement, he said, and could be signed to end hostilities, open the strait, end the blockade as soon as this weekend. Is it real? We'll discuss with Professor Farley. 6:36. Now we check the headlines with Scott.
62 degrees. We're headed for a mostly sunny, breezy, and less humid high of 82 later today. Tornadoes touch down in several communities around Illinois and Indiana. Severe outbreak that started in Streeter and Dwight.
We heard it coming, so we hurried up and ran into the bathroom and sat on the bathroom floor. Her house is okay, but the other people's around here is just totally devastated. So, no, we heard the sirens and we stayed in the bathroom.
Tornado sirens went off in St. John's, Indiana.
Yeah, he was real scared. So then we jumped in the car, came home, couldn't believe what we saw.
And to our north, in the town of Paris, Wisconsin.
Yes, yeah, both. I just want to make sure everybody's okay. And then, you wonder what you're going to wake up to tomorrow.
The owner of a bar in that small community, NIPSCO Power Company in Northwest Indiana, says about 45,000 customers are without power. ComEd, 160,000 plus. Iran state media says Tehran hasn't yet agreed on any peace deal with the U.S., but there is a possibility that it could happen. President Trump announced yesterday he's canceled plans to carry out further attacks in a phone call endorsing Georgia Republican gubernatorial candidate Burt Jones yesterday. The president said the peace deal is, in his words, complete.
We ended the war with Iran today, and they have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon, something that we insisted on. That was the whole purpose. That was 95% of it. And they've done it in the most powerful way you can do it.
President Trump announcing yesterday he canceled those planned strikes because a deal was imminent. a deal that could be signed this weekend, he says. SpaceX launches the largest IPO ever today in a move that stands to make CEO Elon Musk a trillionaire. The reusable rocket company planning to sell more than 555 million shares of the company. In other stories we're following this morning, 3 now face charges after a shooting during an undercover ATF operation in Country Club Hills. Federal officials say the incident happened on Tuesday near 188th and Loretto Lane. And the latest delay in property tax billing in Cook County will cost local governments millions. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle said the next round of tax bills will be about 2 months late. Because of that, Preckwinkle says the county has reintroduced a fund to help local governments deal with the resulting gap in cash flow.
The program will make available up to $300 million in no-interest loans to eligible taxing districts.
Legislation requiring the county to reimburse those taxing districts for interest lost and debts incurred did not advance during the spring session of the General Assembly. Chicago sports. Cubs snapped their 3-game losing skid with a 9-2 win over the Rockies. White Sox and Atlanta had their games stormed out. And your John Cass World Cup soccer update, Mexico beat South Africa 2-0. South Korea took down Czechia 2-1 in Guadalajara. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. 56david.com, 855-563-2843. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains the state of California.
In 2025, 2026, between 400,000 and 500,000 people left the state. School scores, California is ranked 41st, even though it ranks 13 in the amount of money it spends. It's got 1/3 of all the homeless people in the nation, 1/3 of all welfare recipients in the nation. And the question is, have Californians finally had enough?
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
When disasters hit and cell networks fail, Rapid Radios keeps you connected. Instant push-to-talk with coast-to-coast range. No contracts, no monthly bills. Trusted by law enforcement, government agencies, and over 500,000 users. Always ready when your phone isn't. Because in an emergency, seconds matter, and reliability isn't optional. Go to rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for 5% off and free shipping from Michigan. Rapid Radios. Communication redefined.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
638, Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of rockauto.com. Just a reminder, South Shore Line trains, because of extensive damage from the tornado yesterday in northwest Indiana, not running between Millennium Station and South Bend, Indiana. Entirely suspended service on the South Shore this morning. On the roads, delays on the Stevenson inbound central to Kedzie, and on the Kennedy on the brakes outbound between Canfield and the big airport. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt, so for the parts you need to get back on the road, visit rockauto.com. Wide selection of quality parts, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, check of your forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Mostly sunny, breezy, less humid. Nice day shaping up, a high of 82.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So as we discussed a bit earlier, Trump announcing yesterday from the Oval Office that a settlement has been reached to end the hostilities in Iran, in the Middle East, to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, to suspend the blockade, conceptually to deal with the enriched uranium.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means if the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up, oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before.
He did use the phraseology pretty much done. It's a memorandum of understanding. He said the Ayatollah, the cardboard Ayatollah, has agreed to it, so that makes it different. What else does?
On that, you have said before that Iran and the United States were close to a deal. It has not happened yet. Why are you so convinced that this time is different?
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. And we could have had it done the other way, I guess, but it would have taken longer. They got hit very hard recently, as you know. And I don't like to have to do things that way, but I felt it was necessary. It's a great deal for the United States and for the Middle East, and I think ultimately great for Iran because they'll be able to build up their country and have a country. I really believe it's a regime change because I find these people to be much more rational than the people that are no longer with us.
Yeah, much more rational than the people no longer with us when I'm not calling them lunatics. Okay. He expects as soon as this weekend, J.D. Vance will go at some undisclosed time to some undisclosed, thus far, location in Europe and formally ink the deal.
Took them out at night, and the strait will officially open as soon as we sign, which could be soon, very soon, maybe over the weekend, in Europe. I won't be able to be there, but J.D. will be there, Vice President, and some of the people. Steve Woodcock did a great job, Jared. So we'll take some questions, but right now we're here to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the details obviously are important to substantiate all of this. What does opening the Strait of Hormuz look like? Do we have commitments that there'll be no tolling, there'll be no piracy? What are the enforcement mechanisms, the demands of specific performance as it pertains to Iran not pursuing nuclear weapons? What exactly is the conceptual framework for the enriched uranium they do possess that's allegedly under, a mountain of rubble so nobody can get to it, which is not the same thing as President Trump had been saying for some time, which is we're either going to go in and get it or they're going to give it to us. What about the funding of terrorist proxies in the region? Again, don't know those details, so it's hard to comment, but it's, I don't know, boy, it's a real sea change that the talks had broken down, the ceasefire had effectively ended, and then lobbing 49 Tomahawk missiles at targets that both sides already understood were on the hit list, and threatening to take Karg Island got the mullahs to capitulate to what Trump wants. For an alternative point of view, James Thorne, he's a wealth manager. He's also a econ PhD. And the reason I bring him up, it's an interesting historical comparison, which are always fun to contemplate. Are we learning from history? And he's been writing from a sort of contrarian perspective, even with those who supported Trump's campaign in Iran. I feel like he's sort of like the Scott Adams of the Iranian hostilities. He calls this Trump's Trafalgar moment, a decisive victory in the Napoleonic Wars, Horatio Nelson. A decisive victory that does not end every conflict, but closes the enemy's best routes to success and reshapes the strategic landscape. By reopening the Strait of Hormuz, blocking Tehran's path to a nuclear weapon, and cutting off the financial backing of global terrorism, Trump has broken Iran's core leverage without a wider ground war. The closure and opening of the strait has changed the rules of the quote-unquote great game in energy security, putting the United States back at the center of global energy markets. I think the United States was already at the center of global energy markets. He goes on to say investors should expect critics to pan the agreement as insufficiently decisive, but they should ignore the pedantry. The rules of the game have changed, and the forces for complete victory have been set in motion. There's going to be a post-Iranian conflict peace dividend that rivals the Cold War, is what he argues. The Trafalgar moment, Napoleon's defeat in the Napoleonic Wars, ended Napoleon's designs on England forever. This agreement, even though we don't know the details, I think it's a little premature to be overly critical, but it's a little premature to be overly celebratory, too, and talk about a peace dividend on the order of the Cold War, with all due respect to Mr. Thorne. But the idea that this ends the Iranian Islamofascist pursuit of nuclear weapons forever, like it ended Napoleon's designs on England, boy, I think that's a big claim. For more on all of this, pleased to be joined by Robert Farley. He's a professor at the Patterson School of Diplomacy and International Commerce at the University of Kentucky and a national security and foreign policy analyst. Professor Farley, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What's your first blush at Trump's pronouncement from the Oval Office yesterday?
Well, as you say, we don't have a ton of details on what is exactly in this accord, and we don't yet know if the Iranians are going to go through it. We have had the publication of some of the details from Iranian state sources, which normally aren't something we should rely upon. But when we compare them with American sources, we get a better picture of what we're looking at. It is hard for me to imagine that people on the hawkish wing of the Republican Party, which is still a substantial part of the party, and also people with sort of favorable interests towards Israel, are going to think that this was a very good deal. Iran still has a lot of latitude. Iran will still have a lot of influence, and Iran will have a more firm financial foundation if it goes through with this deal. And it doesn't really extract the United States from the region. So I'm really curious what the reaction is going to be from Jerusalem and also from sort of the hawkish wing of the Republican Party.
Yeah, President Trump said yesterday that he had talked to, the heads of the states, both Bibi as well as the Gulf state allies in this endeavor. And, his indication was everybody seemed to be on board. But obviously, you're right to say, well, we'll wait and see on that and, what final form any such agreement takes, if it does happen as quickly as Trump is suggesting this weekend. That'd be pretty quick. But do you struggle to follow the logic like I do of we're in one place a couple of days ago where Iran calling the ceasefire over. I mean, as they had been violating it for weeks, and now it's there's general agreement that both sides can live with, but that accomplishes Trump's objectives. That, I mean, he wasn't exactly as effusive as he normally is when it comes to something he thinks is one of his accomplishments. But I just find it very difficult to believe that we went from where we were 48 hours ago to this place of quote unquote victory that's being described.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple things going on here. The first thing is that negotiations have been ongoing. Technical negotiations have been ongoing. And there was a pretty good report out of the New York Times by a fellow named David Sanger about sort of where exactly the difficult points were. And all of them were points that, I can see how we could negotiate our way out of this, right? So it's not really right to say that we were at 0 48 hours ago and now we're at an accord, because this was a process.
Right. But I mean, but Trump said, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Trump said yes. So they took a pounding. So 49 Tomahawk missile strikes and a threat to take Kharg Island is what solidified the deal. I mean, do you believe that?
Look, I mean, no, I don't, because President Trump has made outlandish threats and has launched lots of strikes against Iran, and we haven't gotten to a deal. So, that we happen to get to a deal after this particular set of threats, I don't think we should say, oh, this was the reason that it happened.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the source of my skepticism. So, what the enforcement mechanisms will be or the demands of specific performance. But I mean, conceptually, from your perspective, what could those be that would have teeth?
I mean, the only teeth here is going to be American and Israeli military force and snapback sanctions. Iran is making commitments here, eventually to open up the straits, and we don't even have a real clear commitment on what the nuclear deal is going to look like. But if Iran doesn't go through with it, then we're back at square one, and we're lobbing Tomahawk missiles and putting sanctions back in Iran. I mean, that's the enforcement mechanism.
You wrote a piece over at National Security Journal, just speaking of historical comparisons, about Kharg Island and why it potentially was a trap for the United States and why maybe Trump was jawboning, threatening to take it, but never really wanted to. Yeah, I mean, it seems like President Trump had returned to this idea of invading Kharg Island, a really important facility in the northern Persian Gulf. We hadn't really talked about it for a couple months, but he returned to it on, I think, Wednesday. And just about every serious military analysis says this is a thing you could do, but it's not a thing you should do, because it just doesn't make any sense long term. It leaves the United States extremely vulnerable. The Iranians know that. So I'm not convinced that the threat to seize Kharg Island was actually consequential to forcing the Iranians into any kind of accord. And what do you make of the prospect that over time this will be seen as something akin to Horatio Nelson's defeat of Napoleon?
On the one hand, I think it's complete nonsense, but it's complete nonsense that the president listens to. And if the president believes that he's getting a win out of this, and that's enough to stop the war, then I'm all in favor.
One of the arguments that's been made, we've been kicking around this week, is that part of Trump's reluctance to restart hostilities, even in the face of Iran's repeated violations of the so-called ceasefire, is to manage Gulf states and their perspectives on this, because ultimately, once there is an agreement reached or once the hostilities stop, it's going to be up to the Gulf states to be an important enforcement mechanism, and also the delicate relationship that has been forged from Trump 1.0 with the Abraham Accords with many of these countries, so that he was being deferential to the Gulf states and trying to balance the interests of a more hawkish Israel and a less hawkish Gulf state coalition. Do you agree with that analysis, and do you think that he balanced those interests effectively so far?
So I think there's something to that analysis, but there are differences of opinion between the Gulf monarchies. The Saudis are reputed to be much more hawkish on the question of regime change and on what the future of Iran relationship should look like than some of the other monarchies. And so I think we should be careful about assigning any single opinion. But, you know, the Strait of Hormuz, the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has been disastrous for the Gulf monarchies. You know, that in itself, and not anticipating that was going to happen, not planning for that to happen, I think it's been as big of a problem for us as it was for them. And so, you know, the amount of harm that has been inflicted on the Gulf monarchies by this war is substantial. And so I don't know if there's a way for President Trump to talk his way out of that in terms of pushing them towards new concessions with Israel or anything else. You know, the failure to anticipate the Strait closing, I think, was a major blow to U.S. credibility, really all across the region.
Well, I mean, I don't, you know, that this is the confusing part about it and why I'm skeptical of the argument I advanced as well as, so if that's true, you know, about trying to make sure you're being considerate of Gulf states' interests to keep the coalition together, then why wouldn't you use our naval force and superiority, you know, air superiority to reopen the Strait and send the message to the Iranians that using this as leverage is that those days are over. I mean, it could have easily been done, and the only thing I can think is which is a legitimate concern, of course, but he didn't want to risk American casualties. But I mean, the Project Freedom that he soft launched, and then there was sort of a modest, clandestine, below the fold version of it that got some ships through. And that to me was it couldn't be that the military didn't game plan for the Strait being closed, because they've been playing these war games with Iran for the last 5 decades, you know, in preparation for something like this. So it had to be a decision of Trump not to want to escalate for some reason, but it didn't really serve the Gulf states' interests, as you're describing, and it didn't really serve America's interests with regime change or taking this card away from the Iranians' deck. So I just that's the approach to the closure of the Strait, other than the blockade, just remains confusing to me.
Yeah, so I would not soft pedal actually the difficulty, the operational and tactical difficulty of taking the Strait and keeping the Strait open. I think that a lot of the war games have told us, and this, as you say, has been war gamed out as much as anything has been war gamed out in the Pentagon over the last 40 years. It's actually a really tough operation. And even if you successfully do the operation, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. The problem isn't necessarily that Iran is right next to the Strait. The problem is that half of Iran can credibly hit the narrowest part of the Strait with weapons. And so what that means is you need to have a terrifically scaled operation that will push the Iranians back so far from the Strait that they can't threaten it. And that's a really hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to keep up. So, I mean, honestly, I think probably a lot of people in the Pentagon looked at this and they talked with people in the administration and they said, look, this is a thing that can be done, but the price we're going to pay is enormous. And so it's not a thing we should do.
Robert Farley, professor at the Patterson School of Diplomacy and International Commerce at the University of Kentucky, and a national security and foreign policy analyst. Professor Farley, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And Professor Farley joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, most of us spend our entire lives in the paycheck mode. You work, you get 30% taken from the G, you pay your bills, repeat and rinse. And that's how time goes by. Then all of a sudden you're old. Retirement hits. Suddenly, you're the one who has to figure out your paycheck that isn't there anymore. Markets are bumpy, prices are up, things can get stressful real fast. That's why having a real income plan matters. Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group can help you build a strategy to turn your hard-earned savings into a reliable retirement income. They coordinate with your Social Security and your tax planning so you can stop wondering if you're withdrawing the right amount at the right time. Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group have been doing this for 30 years. They can help you by giving you a complimentary retirement roadmap. And all you have to do is call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. Or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
The Matrix is Penny Mustard's most popular TV stand.
No way. It's a computer-generated simulation.
How do you know?
Look closely at the Matrix. See all the pixels?
Those aren't pixels.
That's wood grain.
The Matrix TV stand is handcrafted from solid wood.
Built to your specifications and TV size.
Yeah, right. That's what they want you to believe.
Come see the totally real and wildly popular Matrix TV stand, starting at $28.44 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Shop the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University and The Sean Thompson Show when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:07, can AI save Social Security and Medicare? We'll start there with Jessica Malusian, Director of Center for Technology and Innovation at Competitive Enterprise Institute. That's 7:07 now. It is 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A deal with Iran could be signed this weekend. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump says.
We ended the war with Iran today, and they have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon.
That was during his call into a rally in Georgia for Republican candidate for Governor Burt Jones, hours after the president announced he'd called off a third straight night of attacks on Iran. Fox Business's Max Gordon reports from Dubai.
According to Iranian state media, the 14-page draft includes U.S. commitments to lift sanctions on Iran, withdraw troops, and release frozen Iranian funds. But final negotiations still need to tackle nuclear and economic issues. Iran's foreign ministry says much of the agreement has been outlined, but nothing is currently finalized.
There was another skirmish in the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. official tells Fox Iran tried to attack commercial ships, but American forces shot down 2 drones. Despite that, oil prices are down more than 3% on the potential for a deal. There's another 86-47 formation. Weeks after former FBI Director James Comey was indicted, accused of threatening President Trump in a social media post showing that in seashells on a beach, the new one was found burned into a lawn near the Washington Monument.
The Department of Interior is calling this an act of deranged vandalism, with authorities not only trying to figure out who did this, but also what caused the discoloration in the grass.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff at the White House. The president's name has to be taken off the Kennedy Center in Washington by today unless an appeal stops that.
It's a last-minute legal push to make sure the facility stays as the Trump Kennedy Center. A source tells Associated Press the center's board voted to seek a stay of court ruling that said President Trump's name was illegally added to the center. The judge in the case had ruled only Congress could change the name of the facility and ordered all references to Trump be removed.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. The World Cup's underway. Team USA plays Paraguay tonight at Los Angeles Stadium. America's listening to Fox News. 7:02, 62 degrees and sunshine. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Multiple confirmed tornadoes reported in Streeter and Dwight. Damage extended to the Chicago suburbs last night, like Bridgeview and Justice. And a large and damaging tornado made its way through Lake and Porter counties in northwest Indiana. Because of that extensive damage, South Shoreline trains will not be running between Millennium Station and South Bend. Patrick Winter went to the basement in St. John's, Indiana, after the sirens went off.
I saw the clouds whipping around, and then we went downstairs, and the next thing I heard was a big thud. I came upstairs, saw the tree in the back on the house.
This morning, teachers at Andrean Catholic High School in Maryville, Indiana, waking up to devastating news, major destruction on their campus.
Just like the kid, I just think about the kids, like, you know, whatever, they're supposed to be here for practice, or, you know, and summer starting, and sports, and school starting in a couple of months, you know.
Our thanks to ABC 7 for that audio and putting resources on the ground in northwest Indiana. NIPSCO in northwest Indiana reports about 45,000 customers without power. ComEd says just under 160,000 remain in the dark. 3 are facing charges after a shooting during an undercover ATF operation that happened this week in Country Club Hills. Agents were on the ground conducting a firearms trafficking operation. The Illinois General Assembly passed legislation extending a program that allows retiring public servants to be paid out a large portion of their pension, forfeiting a portion back to the state. The buyout program's extension comes as the state is trying to make a small dent in the largely unfunded $144 billion pension liability. Chicago sports. Cubs snap a 3-game losing skid with a 9-2 win over the Rockies. First-place White Sox had their game with Atlanta called off. Southsiders take on the L.A. Dodgers later on tonight. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Team Hochberg can help you by visiting 56david.com or calling 855-563-2843. You can find out more. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, and MLS 613-114. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-738-2856. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
.709, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Reagan I-88 jamming up this morning, eastbound between 22nd and the Tri-State. You have delays right now in Maryville, Indiana. Broadway is shut down in both directions between 61st and 57th. That's all tornado damage. And a reminder in Porter, Indiana, east and westbound Wagner Road, east and westbound near Wagner Road, shut down. That's US 20 due to major storm damage as well there. We're also watching delays develop on Route 53 this morning. It's on the southbound side near Euclid. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will bring mostly sunny skies with a breeze and lower humidity levels. The high will reach 81 degrees. Tonight will be clear with a low of 64. Tomorrow, expect warm temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine. It'll be breezy in the afternoon with showers and heavy thunderstorms moving in at night. The high will be 87 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Josh Hawley, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, conservative, Republican, writing in the Free Press, AI will control us if we do not control it. He starts by taking us to Festus, Missouri, where hundreds of local residents piled into a high school gym to debate the issue of locating a data center in their community. $6 billion project to build an AI data center. The village council ultimately approved the project, and a few weeks later, every single incumbent member of the council was de-elected. Some jumpiness about data centers and AI. Josh Hawley writing, we cannot afford to leave these choices about the development of AI to venture capitalists and engineers in Palo Alto. We need to listen to people who feel like they're being handed the bill for big tech's dystopian future. We need to listen to people like those residents of Festus, Missouri. And he breaks it out into, three easy-to-use categories of questions. Jobs. Hawley says the proposed cure of creative destruction is not a universal basic income, as some Silicon Valley types have proposed. But he doesn't offer much of a response other than to say the government needs to understand what is happening in the job market and commit resources to helping working people adapt to it. I'm from the government and I'm here to help you adapt to the changing marketplace. Don't like that, but I know it's good populism, which Josh Hawley veers into much too often for my taste. But that's well within the parameters of this discussion. Data centers, jobs, data centers, and safety. Data centers. As families are watching the construction trucks roll in and asking obvious questions, will my electric bill double? Will my well run dry? Who will pay for this? The answer cannot be that tech oligarchs reign supreme and the rest of us can just absorb their externalities. Tech oligarchs sounds like Bernie Sanders. The companies building these facilities can afford to supply their own power, protect residential rates, and safeguard local water. We must hold them to that with binding legal requirements. And then safety. And he tells the story of a 16-year-old. There's obviously, these are tragic stories, and there's been several of them. We've talked about it. A 16-year-old boy who was suffering from suicidal ideation, and ChatGPT ultimately coached this kid to fashion a noose, urged him to hide it from his parents, and he killed himself. So the safety issue. I mean, there's also the issue of political bias, which he didn't get into, the information control piece of it. But so let's take these in turn with Jessica Maluzhin, Director of the Center for Technology and Innovation with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Jessica, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Jessica? Do we have Jessica?
Hello?
Oh, there she is. Jessica, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Appreciate it.
Oh, my gosh. It's my pleasure.
So Josh Hawley, his concerns about jobs, data centers, and safety, particularly for kids. Take whichever one you'd like to start. And I mean, it strikes me, just get you to react to this as well, my commentary. This strikes me as very central planning-ish. He doesn't really have a good answer. He sort of makes generic appeals to things we all believe are goods, like child safety, without really providing much detail on how we're supposed to balance competing interests. And I would say the same thing with, the changing landscape with respect to jobs as well.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, part of this story is Josh Hawley and that sort of ilk right now of things are bad, so government should be in control of everything, right? When I tend to think that there's trade-offs, there's challenges, and it shouldn't be a foregone conclusion that especially the federal government or even state governments are going to have the solutions to all of those problems. When you put them in control as opposed to, the free market and property rights and incentives, it often creates a whole host of problems. And while AI is a revolutionary technology, kind of the challenges around it are not new. This happens all the time with new technologies. There's upsides, there's risks. We need to have those conversations as a society about where those trade-offs are for us and how we can best adapt and keep kids safe and keep people employed. Those are all reasonable concerns and questions. I just think that the conclusion that, we certainly don't want the free market to be involved in this, and we want instead the government with its illustrious record of success to be in charge is sort of the wrong conclusion to draw. And I think, like you said, that's very Josh Hawley. He likes big government. He likes it in a different direction than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, but he likes big government if people like him are in control. And I think that sort of oversells anyone's ability in elected office to foretell the future and completely eliminate risk. So those are all legitimate questions. I think a lot of Americans have those concerns. The question really now is, what are we going to do about that? Especially in light of the fact that we're sort of in a global competition here on this with China. If you worry about Elon Musk being in charge, I promise you'll be much more concerned about the Chinese Communist Party being in charge of AI.
Well, right. And Hawley's not calling for the government to take a 50% stake in all AI companies like Comrade Bernie, at least not yet. I don't know what that exactly accomplishes. Right. So Bernie Sanders and company are going to direct the development of all of these AI platforms as opposed to people who actually know what they're doing. It seems wildly arrogant and Soviet, which I know is Bernie Sanders' disposition and many on the left. But again, these pay-ons to government as somehow a force for good or proper balance as compared to, the ugliness of the market, actual human beings negotiating and persuading and developing, including the builders of the technology in the conversation as opposed to just coming over the top as a commissar, yeah, that seems to me a better play. And there's an economic imperative, too, an economic growth imperative for consideration. The reports we've gotten over the last week that Social Security's total cost is projected to be higher than its total income this year, and has been since 2021. It's projected to be depleted in the third quarter of 2034. That's only 8 years away. Medicare, no less sobering. The Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, Medicare Part A, scheduled for depletion 1 year prior to Social Security in 2033, when revenues are expected to only cover 89% of incurred program costs. So if AI is going to produce even a seemingly modest bump in GDP growth in this country from say like 2% to 2.5%, that's a huge deal for the solvency of these big entitlement programs. And dealing with $40 trillion in debt. So, I mean, it's something, there's something that has to give. All of those great central planners that have us with insolvent entitlement programs and $40 trillion in debt, they want to take over AI. AI developers, because of the productivity increases, may actually end up preserving those programs where we don't have the political will in either party to address the structural infirmities.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You'd think with those numbers lining up, you might be interested in a little efficiency, but apparently not. And, the people who created those programs and have known for years, if not decades, about these financial problems have not acted to do anything politically to shore those programs up. So the idea that you're going to put AI in their hands, I think, makes very little sense. And like I said, so do many of the other concerns. The data center stuff, there's, I think, a lot of incorrect information about the water use of those places. It's about like a golf course, and they're already moving towards a closed loop water system so that they just clean the water and use it again and then use it again. Those kind of innovations are going to happen. Things are going to get better. Even if you look at the numbers today, things are really overblown about these data centers. But keep in mind, they'll get better. They'll get more efficient. And this is, again, in some sense, nothing new. This is the not in my backyard impulse, which is completely understandable human reaction for property owners to say, well, I don't want that dump or that prison or that, data center near my house. I certainly understand that as a fellow human being. At the same time, the sausage has to be made somewhere. And even you see these activists against the data centers, they're all, where are they doing their activities? They're all online. And they're using AI images, and it's sort of like we all want the product that these data centers provide. We have to put it somewhere, and I think that's a legitimate question for local authorities and local communities to have a conversation about, what makes sense and how can we make this the least annoying it can be. But to go around mass banning this, and the price concerns, I think, are also legitimate for utility customers. But of course, the real problem is that electricity is kind of a broken utility. We've had this country on an energy starvation diet for decades over climate concerns and other things. And to just dump it all on the building is ugly and sometimes the generators are loud doesn't really tell the full picture of the kind of reforms we would need. A lot of these big tech companies are happy to provide their own power sources.
Yeah.
So why aren't we taking a look at nuclear and taking a look about letting them plug into the grid? Not to mention, in a lot of areas, I live in Northern Virginia. I don't live in Loudoun County, but it's nearby. And they've had huge reductions to their residents' property tax bills because of these data centers being able to contribute. So I think it's just more complex than, well, we don't want it here. It has to go somewhere, and there's ways we can make it as good as we can. But everyone has to come with the idea that, well, if you want AI to do things like it might very well do, including, curing cancers and alleviating traffic and all these things, and helping your kid have a private tutor in whatever subject they're worried about, you're going to have to take a look again, as I said at the top. This is about trade-offs, and we need to have a rational conversation. And unfortunately, we have a lot of elected officials who are sort of more interested in making political hay for themselves than they are about getting to good solutions for these problems.
No, of course. If you want to get from Chicagoland to Naples for spring break in 2.5 hours, you're going to have to build an airport somewhere. Yeah. So there's that kind of thing. Yeah. Sorry, people who decide to live, under a traffic pattern, but these are.
But there's a lot of upside to that sort of thing too, right?
Yeah.
We want somewhere to take our trash, and we would like the bad guys to be locked up.
Yes.
We would like airports to exist, and this is just sort of the lens that you either view the world through, which is it's about trade-offs, or the government can somehow make everything perfect and still give me everything I want, and preferably for free. And I think that's a very unrealistic way to make policy.
Well, there's a lot of people who like to be fed a steady diet of beautiful lies. We know this very well in Chicagoland. Speaking on the safety piece, the last piece, the release, Anthropic's release of its next-gen Mythos class model, Claude Fable 5, that is getting some pretty rave reviews by people who know this a lot better than I in terms of this being sort of a step forward in terms of capacity and functionality. But one of the things that's important about this is there are guardrails that remove dangerous capabilities related to areas such as cybersecurity and biological research, because there was previous concerns about, including expressed by the Trump administration, about the using AI for hacking and things even more destructive than that. According to a journal report on this, Claude Fable 5 will let users query Mythos. However, if users ask Fable about sensitive issues such as a bioweapon or exploiting a software bug, it will kick them back to an older version of the Claude chatbot. And my point is to say this is a safety innovation, these guardrails with respect to two specific threats in this iteration of Anthropic's Claude. But the same I believe is being worked on and discussed with respect to some of these terrible incidents like chatbots assisting with a kid's suicide. So, I mean, in terms of, who is better positioned to address the safety concern, or is it the innovators who have now gotten the moral and sort of customer imperative that you need to have some safety controls here, otherwise you're going to run into problems with your customers, and they're attempting to address that, here more so at the corporate and national security level, but it's ongoing at the sort of individualized level too.
Yeah, and I think, they did a pretty good job. They figured out they had a very powerful tool in Mythos, and they released it to, I think, around 200 organizations, companies, and said, here, use this to shore up all your systems. Use it for good. Find all your bugs. Find all your vulnerabilities. And then we'll roll it out after you've had time to catch up so the bad guys aren't ahead. And they've kicked it, like you said, down to the old model when people make questionable searches. So I think you can see that the incentives might align a little more than Josh Hawley thinks for these companies. I don't know who thinks that there's billionaires out there who feel that they'll be, enjoying their yachts in the Mediterranean if they destroy civilization. It's not a real thing. There's every incentive for these companies to be responsible already. Believe me, we have lots of laws on the books. But I think on the child safety with the bots, the child safety stuff is so difficult because it's so horrible for these families.
Yeah.
And no one would wish that on anyone. It's terrible. But at the same time, you have to look at, okay, obviously everyone's motivation here is very good, but that doesn't guarantee good outcomes. There's still things that pop up, like if a chatbot is going to be extra safe for kids, a chatbot needs to know that it's a kid. How do we do that? That triggers everyone in America of every age for some sort of ID, age verification, which is a government uploaded ID or biometric data, because kids can't prove they're kids and adults will end up having to prove they're not kids. So you're putting a lot of people's personal information out there that makes a real juicy target for bad guys trying to steal that information. So again, everyone agrees this needs to be addressed, but how do you do it? What are the trade-offs you're willing to make? I'm not sure that we want age verification, which means personal information from every adult in America to access a chatbot or go on Instagram, right? That's probably not a great idea for a lot of reasons and probably violates the First Amendment. So it's good we're having these conversations. I think that ultimately people are always very unsatisfied by my real life answer, which is this is about parents. This is about being in communication with your kid and putting the parental controls that are already on your phone are very helpful in all of this. I know all of us parents don't want one more thing to do because who even knows what's for dinner tonight, and there's all that laundry. I get it. I live it. But this is one more role where I think parents are best positioned to know their kid, to know what they can handle, what they might not be ready for yet, and to think that you can outsource that kind of thing to the federal government or your state house. I hope we've learned that lesson already with what we saw a lot in public schools and other things. You know, the government's just not a very good parent. So I think if you take the emphasis off of the parents' role in empowering the families to make these decisions house by house, I think you really lose the plot and get into some pretty unsavory trade-offs.
Jessica Maluzhin is the director of the Center for Technology and Innovation with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Jessica, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It was so much fun. Thank you. Guys, have a great weekend out there.
You too. Good to speak with you again. Jessica joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy. Plus, our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $293. Plus, unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, free haul away and disposal of your old mattress. Plus, 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Plus, a ruggedly handsome spokesman with a smooth radio voice. Get all this, plus a whole lot more when you shop at Hassellus Mattress. Or maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Nah. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hassellus.com.
It's finally happening. The Fed is making a change in leadership, and that could have a profound impact on the value of your retirement. When interest rates go down, the value of precious metals like gold and silver can surge. Call Advantage Gold right now at 800-900-8000 and get your free gold and silver investor guide, a $49 value plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's insightful book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Inside, you'll get honest information about gold, silver, and other precious metals, so you can explore your options with clarity and confidence. Our specialists can help you open a new account or transfer funds from an existing IRA, tax and penalty-free. Markets can turn fast, but gold has maintained its value through every cycle, often holding strong when other assets falter and when the dollar weakens. Are you positioned? Don't miss this opportunity. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Results may vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk to Republican State Representative Marty McLaughlin from the Barrington area about his and House Republicans' proposals to try to get the Bears back to the negotiating table and keep them in Illinois. Is it even worth the effort? 7:37, State Representative Marty McLaughlin. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Sunshine and 62 degrees at 7:32. Expect mostly sunny skies today, breezy and much less humid with a high near 82. Tornadoes touch down in several communities in Illinois and Indiana. Multiple confirmed tornadoes touch down in Streator and near Dwight.
We heard it coming, so we hurried up and ran into the bathroom and sat on the bathroom floor.
Her house is okay, but the other people's around here is just totally devastated. So, no, we heard the sirens and we stayed in the bathroom.
Large and damaging tornadoes made their way through Lake and Porter counties in northwest Indiana. Because of that extensive damage, South Shore Line trains will not be running from Millennium Station into South Bend. And this morning in Maryville, Indiana, teachers are arriving at Andring Catholic High School. To devastating news, major destruction on their campus.
Just like the kid, I just think about the kids, like, you know, what are they're supposed to be here for practice, or, you know, and summer starting, and sports, and school starting in a couple of months, you know.
In Washington, D.C., tensions escalating over the Strait of Hormuz as President Trump calls off strikes overnight, while saying a peace deal with Iran could be close.
Peace could be coming to the region, but the Gulf still remains on edge, waiting to see what happens. U.S. forces reporting shooting down two one-way Iranian attack drones that were allegedly trying to strike commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. This even after President Trump called off strikes yesterday. This is what he had to say on Truth Social. He wrote, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled and scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. President Trump also says that a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran could soon be signed.
An interesting story that has just dropped in light of our recent discussions with Jessica Malugin here on AM 560. OpenAI this morning says China is behind an influence campaign to turn U.S. opinions against artificial intelligence and data centers. The artificial intelligence company publishing research that says it caught Chinese-backed operatives using the company's ChatGPT to create content for the social media campaign. Chicago sports. Cubs snap a 3-game losing skid with a 9-2 win over the Rockies. Sox had their game with Atlanta called off. Men's College World Series is about to get underway. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins in Naperville. Easy to get off. I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the new feel of politics.
Everybody is on edge. Everybody's tense. Everybody recognizes there's something different this year. I understand why it's different now. The left is playing by a whole different set of rules. They are starting to openly declare what needs to be done with more than half of the country.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dream at leavingil.com.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
7:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We have a ton of roads shut down due to storm damage from overnight and yesterday evening. Burns Harbor, Indiana, US 12 shut down east and westbound right at Oak Hill Road. Kenosha, Wisconsin, Highway 142, east and westbound shut down with ongoing cleanup of storm damage. Maryville, Indiana, we told you about Andrean High School. This is Broadway, State Road 53, north and southbound shut down between 61st and 57th. South Shore Line trains interrupted service because of storm damage, and a CTA Red Line train is stopped right now southbound right at Garfield. Trains are standing because of an incident on the train. Traffic, a service of Unbound.org. Young people across the world facing tough choices. See how far you can support them at Unbound.org. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunny, breezy, and less humid, and a high of 82.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. This is an interesting development because I know Governor Jelly Belly is averse to imposing burdens on Illinois taxpayers to finance the dreams of billionaire business owners. So I was surprised to see that the governor's office is bragging about Rural King investing $75 million in the expansion of its footprint in Mattoon. And they're getting state tax credits, EDGE credits, and infrastructure help to do so. I mean, you know, it's great. Rural King is a great business, but Gary Melvin is not hurting for cash. He's been very successful and good for him. But it's a privately held company that did $2.5 billion in revenue last year. So why are we helping, if he's not a billionaire, he's awful close. Why are we helping somebody like that? We don't do that. It's a principle of the matter. That's what J.B. Pritzker was lecturing us all on. I mean, in addition to the fact that, yeah, the Bears didn't ask him. They didn't come genuflect, as you're supposed to do, to the king and the feudal lords in Springfield like you do in the city of Chicago. And they didn't work the rail. They didn't send Caleb Williams down there to get his nails done with Chris Welch and Don Harmon, or have Ben Johnson come down and sign some footballs like you're supposed to do to make the legislators feel important and the governor feel important. I get it. But, of course, just like Chinese communist billionaires behind the EV battery plant in Matino, Governor Pritzker's principle is very selective. When things are working out and people are staying, he takes credit. When things are not, hey, I'm a defender of the taxpayer, don't you know? It's a ham-handed routine that only somebody like him could get away with in Illinois. It really is. It is so pathetically transparent, contrived, and insulting. And yet it happens. Yeah. But he's willing to call a special session. He's willing to expend political capital because he's a big Bears fan, obviously a big sports fan. Great athlete. Always walking the lake, staying in shape, fit and fiddle, getting ready for that presidential run. The great protector of the taxpayers. Marty McLaughlin is one of the Republicans who actually, one of the few Republicans generally speaking that exist in Springfield, and one of the few Republicans who voted for the package to support the Bears' move to Arlington Heights. And he's still holding out hope. I don't know why, so let's find out. State Representative Marty McLaughlin from Barrington Hills joins us now. Marty, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me on this morning. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so you voted for the package to incentivize the Bears to go to Arlington Heights, those benefits that Pritzker described as imposing unfair burdens on the taxpayers. Explain that vote and what you'd like to see happen.
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a terrible structure that they were putting together, but I figured even these guys might be able to straighten it out by the end of session. So I wanted to move it just so that we could continue to stay in the discussion, knowing that these guys would take it over to the Senate and screw it up, and they did. It was a convoluted idea to get the whole state figured out for large development. The reality is the Bears spent $200 million on property in Arlington Heights 3 years ago. It was over at that point. It was either Arlington Heights or outside of the state.
Yeah.
So I watched this debacle take place from the cheap seats, as you said, as a super minority member. And I was embarrassed as a business person. I own 2 businesses in the state. I thought, wow, these guys couldn't run a lemonade stand, so I'm going to put a proposal together that gives the Bears what I think they need, which is certainty, and will protect the taxpayers at the same time. You can walk and chew gum at the same time, Dan, on a straight, understandable business deal. And so that's what I just put together. It just came out today, and I'm going to be announcing the specifics of it. So happy to be on today.
Well, describe some of the specifics for us that that make it clear and convincing, and provides the Bears some belief that at least their environment in Illinois will be stable.
Yeah. So any business, Dan, as you know, wants certainty so that they can go private investment market. There wasn't any in the deal, so this provides a negotiated property tax on the property. So they bought it for $200 million. They decide what it's worth up front, and then it goes up 2.5% every year for 30 years. So that's the certainty the Bears need. For the taxpayers, there's a third-party auditing organization that makes sure that none of these levying agencies cost shift based on the tax money received off the property tax. And it's an annual report. So that's completely unique, an actual audit in Illinois that's done by a third-party non-government agency. The second part is the state would be on the hook for infrastructure for $1.2 billion. And the reason that I'm an advocate of that is it's not just the stadium. This isn't like the Arlington Stadium out on the middle of a hill in the desert in Texas.
Right.
This is $4 billion of additional hotel revenue venue. If we do this right, it'll look like Rosemont on steroids. And Rosemont's been a pretty productive destination regionally. And, even Fred Stevens wants this because he knows that if you do it properly, it can be successful, and it would be to the benefit of taxpayers in the region. So it's a straight business deal with none of these, the rest of the state can do something in St. Louis, and it's very specific to Arlington Heights only, which is what I think really needed to happen to begin with.
Yeah, I think one of the things, too, this argument that has some populist appeal, the McCaskies need to figure out how to finance it themselves. They should be able to go to the private market. When they have people like Pat Ryan as the largest shareholder outside of who's not named McCaskey. These are sophisticated people that can put together the money. But here's the thing about that. And as I keep explaining, even though I'm not an edge tax credit fan, I'm not a fan of these quote unquote economic development tools and the central planning stuff. But here's the problem, and this is, I think, gets to the foundation of it. And it's the same reason I don't begrudge Rural King from getting EDGE tax credits and infrastructure help, because the whole problem in this kleptocracy called Illinois is that you can't make it make sense to be here or expand here unless you get a special deal from the government, because the tax and regulatory environment is so punitive and, as you said, unpredictable. So, of course, everybody with the political heft and who's big enough that it has impact enough is going to try to leverage a special deal in the interests of the vitality of their business. And so you can't blame them because the kleptocrats set up the rules of the game. You need to change the rules of the game if you want to, to wave the flag for the small business guy who isn't able to hire lobbyists, who isn't able to carve out a special deal for himself. The whole problem is the underlying or overarching, however you want to look at it, kleptocracy, not one specific deal for Rural King or the Bears or a Chinese EV battery plant. I mean, that's the crux of it.
Yeah, and to your point, Dan, everyone keeps saying, well, what tax credits for, state government investment of $1.2 billion. Well, I'd like to remind people that Rivian and the battery plant and a few others didn't have an additional $4 billion worth of hotels and restaurants around the Rivian plant in Bloomington. So this is an entirely different animal. And again, all I'm asking for these guys to do is make it understandable, 30-year clawback provisions, an audit committee on the outside. It's not different than what's been done in other places. And I look, if the Bears don't want a straight business deal, this calls them out too. Okay, it's privately funded, $2.5 billion minimum from them. And of course, the stadium would probably cost more. But again, they would own the stadium. They would control the property. Economically, it would be a great deal for them and better than Hammond, Indiana. So,
and unlike Lion Electric and Joliet, where we threw away $50 million, well, Pritzker did, of other people's money, tax burdens on the taxpayers. Unlike Lion Electric, the Bears aren't going to go out of business. No time soon. And the real sad part is you've got, and I don't know if you've even announced these yet, Peak Six, PAX, Tenneco, they're all leaving Illinois recently. And then WeatherTech has just been announced right there on on 55 going south. What a great Illinois success story. They're talking about leaving. So to your point, Dan, my business has never had a genuflect to the state of Illinois. But being down there disgusts me every day when I watch these people that just want to get government out of the way have to deal with it. So as much as I can't stand government, that I'm an anti-government guy. In this instance, I'm just trying to create a straight business deal to, see if the Bears want to stay and give it one final chance there before they become the Hammond Eggs or whatever they're going to be called down there. I think they're going to keep the Chicago Bears name.
So?
Yeah, I think
won't sponsor them. Breakfast, the Grand Slam breakfast, the Hammond Eggs.
And we're in no position to be taking cheap shots at the Hoosier State these days, as you know. But
well, I heard, Dan, you're going to come away with some bottled lead water, some slag, and a brown sight butt and say, I survived the Hammond bread. Let's market against these guys, Prof. Come on now.
If I ever buy again in this region, I'm going to buy in Northwest Indiana. So, I want them to have nice things. And, hey, they save their money so they can buy nice things like the Chicago Bears. How about that concept?
That's right. Don't fall off your boat, though. You'll need a good oncologist. Come on.
I got some dredging guys that could take care of that, too. I'm going to try and get that contract, No, but but here, what's the political reality? Pritzker is blaming everybody under the sun, including the Bears, for making the move to Hammond. And you had Democrats in the city voting their voting their myopia when it comes to the Arlington Heights deal. So, did you have any indication that Pritzker likes your proposal, or that Welch and Harmon are willing to take it under consideration and try and run with it to the Bears?
Well, no, but I do know this, that the other legislators know now that Chicago is out of the deal. And that's key, because they were creating all these big mega bills to buy Chicago legislator votes. Well, I think they get it now, Dan, right? I think they get that Chicago's not in play, especially when Brandon Johnson mentioned that they couldn't handle the weight of the number of people. I couldn't believe I heard this. I think it was on another radio station. They couldn't handle the weight of the people out in Arlington Heights. I thought it was Herb Johnson and Guam all over.
Yeah, Hank Johnson. Yeah, right.
Johnson,
Arlington Heights. If you put too many people in the stadium of Arlington Heights will capsize.
Yeah, it'll sink. It'll be a sinkhole. Yeah, a lot of these guys spell Mensa with a C, Dan, which is truly the problem. But I keep fighting down there. You know that. You've known me for a little bit.
Okay, well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I like the fact that, a Republican is in the mix on anything that's of an important public policy matter. So, okay. All right, well, we'll watch.
Yeah, I worked at Arlington Heights, too, Dan. I was a security guard out there when I was 17, and we got 25,000 people in and out of that place when it was a viable track at 5 p.m. on work days. So as soon as they spent $200 million, I couldn't believe that these people didn't understand that was the place. And they couldn't get over it, and they screwed it up, and it's just been an embarrassment. So I hope they steal my idea now that it's finalized, and I hope they run with it. I'll take my name off of it and sit back and take my 8-minute train ride from Barrington out there when the stadium's up 5 years from now. That's my goal here.
Well, I mean, Arlington Park was a great facility. There's no question about it.
I loved it.
Really efficient too. But what about some of the jawboning of the Bears by Pritzker and even by some Republicans? Did I see Darren Bailey say if the Bears leave Illinois, they should have to rebuild Arlington Park? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I have no idea. When these guys thought that a private business bought $200 million, 300 acres for, what do they expect? Wetland preservation? I mean, you don't do that. Sorry, Dan, I'm a little salty here.
No, it's good. I like it. I like the saltiness. It's overdue. Marty McLaughlin is state rep, Barrington Hills.
Second district, Dan. I'm at Marty4Illinois.com. I'm going to be in the toughest race. FOR Marty4Illinois.com. I'm going to need all the help from everyone. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, Representative Marty McLaughlin, join us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
The Matrix is Penny Mustard's most popular TV stand.
Fake.
Huh?
The Matrix TV stand is obviously a computer-generated simulation.
How do you know?
Look closely at the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I see?
Probably not.
What do you see?
Pixels.
Those aren't pixels.
That's wood grain.
You're just used to other TV stands made with fake veneers.
But the Matrix TV stand is handcrafted from solid wood.
Yeah, right. That's what they want you to believe. If the Matrix TV stand is real, why does it look different every time I see it?
Because each Matrix TV stand is built to your specifications and TV size.
How do you know so much about the Matrix?
Well...
You're one of them, aren't you?
Sure.
I knew it!
Come see the totally real and wildly popular Matrix TV stand, starting at $28.44 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better simulations of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Every morning, students and faculty fill your school's hallways. And every morning, parents trust you to know who's there with them. With ID Supply, that trust is earned and visible. From student and staff ID cards to secure visitor badge systems, ID Supply helps you instantly identify who belongs on campus at a glance, while keeping your entire facility safer. Visitor badges expire automatically, so no one stays longer than they should. And parents, they can feel confident knowing their school has a system in place. Need supplies? We've got you covered. ID card printers, ribbons, and custom lanyards in your school colors. Most orders ship same day. Parents, if your child's school doesn't have a visitor ID system, ask them about ID Supply, because knowing who's on campus shouldn't be a question. Get 10% off your first order with code SCHOOL10. That's SCHOOL10. Visit idsupply.com or call 800-647-5562. Again, that's 800-647-5562. ID Supply. Trusted by schools for over 20 years.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dream at leavingil.com. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:08. The parents of both the murderer and the murdered speak to CBS Mornings, talking about the Carmelo Anthony verdict and more of the fallout there. And at 8:38, of course, or bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, it is Open Mic Friday. We'll be taking your calls. Any topic we discussed today, this week, any topic you want to discuss, Open Mic Friday will be on deck, bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. All right, Carmelo Anthony verdict and what the parents had to say at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
It's not a done deal. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's the word today from Iran, though its foreign ministry does say terms are mostly finalized in an agreement with the U.S. President Trump says there is a deal to end the war.
And most importantly, we have a deal that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
But the conflict isn't quite over. Fox Business's Max Gordon reports from Dubai.
U.S. forces reported shooting down 2 Iranian attack drones that were attempting to strike commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. This after President Trump canceled strikes on Iran last night. President Trump also says that a memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran could be signed in the next couple of days.
Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before.
Oil prices are down almost 3% this morning. WTI about $85 a barrel. That's still $20 higher than before the conflict started. On Wall Street, stock futures are rising on hopes of a deal. The day after a market surge, the Dow gained more than 900 points, getting back Wednesday's big losses. And one stock could blast off at the opening bell in a half hour when SpaceX starts trading in the biggest initial public offering ever.
$75 billion worth of shares. We're expecting a share price of $135.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis.
If all goes according to plan, CEO Elon Musk could become the world's first trillionaire. In addition, and this is important, some 4,000 employees will become millionaires, at least on paper, due to their stock options.
That's Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. An update on the search for Nancy Guthrie more than 3 months after she disappeared in Arizona.
A federal law enforcement source telling Fox News that Nancy Guthrie is still missing after an anonymous tip sparked a massive search in Mexico. The tip claimed that Nancy was in a shallow grave in Nogales.
That's Fox's Carly Shimkus, but there was no body found in that search. America's listening to Fox News.
Sunshine in 62 degrees. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom in the aftermath of a severe storm evening in Illinois and Indiana. Major destruction across the area, starting in Streeter and Dwight.
We heard it coming, so we hurried up and ran into the bathroom and sat in the bathroom floor. Her house is okay, but the other people's around here is just totally devastated. So, no, we heard the sirens and we stayed in the bathroom.
South Shore trains are not running between Millennium Station to South Bend, Indiana, because of large and damaging tornadoes that tore through Lake and Porter counties, including St. John's, Indiana.
I saw the clouds whipping around, and then we went downstairs, and the next thing I heard was a big thud. I came upstairs, saw the tree in the back on the house.
And in Maryville, Indiana, where teachers at Andrean Catholic High School are waking up to devastating news of major destruction on that campus.
Just like the kid, I just think about the kids, like, you know, what are they're supposed to be here for practice, or, you know, and summer starting, and sports, and school starting in a couple of months, you know.
In other news we're following, the latest delay in property tax billing by Cook County will be a major cost to local governments. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle yesterday saying the next round of tax bills will be about 2 months late.
The program will make available up to $300 million in no-interest loans to eligible taxing districts.
Preckwinkle yesterday saying the county's property tax bridge fund is now open, trying to help local governments deal with the resulting gap in cash flow. The 40th Scottish Highland Games and Festival has kicked off in DuPage County in Wheaton and Naperville last night.
And it's a moment where I've seen generations of families kind of hold hands and look silently into their eyes, and time and distance seem to disappear and leave this unique and beautiful connection.
Gus Noble is with the festival. There's a whiskey seminar tonight and tomorrow at the fairgrounds. Even a World Cup watch party on Saturday as Scotland takes on Haiti. Chicago sports, Cubs end that 3-game skid, beat the Rockies 9-2. White Sox and Atlanta called off. The news is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads in 2 minutes, but now time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
SpaceX is expected to go public today. Elon Musk's rocket, satellite, and artificial intelligence business, xAI. It plans to trade on the NASDAQ and is anticipated to be the largest stock launch ever, though Jamie Cox of Harris Financial says sometime later, SpaceX likely will pull back.
Don't expect that after the pop that you're going to see this thing just go up and up and up. It's probably going to have a drawdown at some point in the first couple of months.
Also today, the University of Michigan releases its consumer sentiment report for this month. Lou Bassanese says the stock market is trading beyond the Iran conflict.
It's looking past this war in Iran, and it's looking at the earnings fundamentals.
If the conflict drags on, he says, things could change. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Monday, June 15th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Nolan Webster and by real estate broker Ed Dring at leavingil.com. WIND, Chicago.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Oak Lawn, Cicero and 103rd. Pretty big intersection. Traffic signals are dark all the way around, so drive with care. Long Grove, traffic signals flashing red at Route 83 and Hilltop. On the expressways and toll roads, I-94 Northwest Indiana, disabled vehicle being cleared westbound between 421 and the Porter-LaPorte County line. DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Northbound, you're on the brakes right at Roosevelt Road, and delays on the Stevenson inbound between Central and Kedzie. Traffic, a service of rockauto.com. Failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands, low prices, parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts you will ever need, rockauto.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny, breezy, and less humid with a high of 81. Tonight will be clear with a low of 64. Tomorrow expect warm temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine. It'll be breezy in the afternoon with showers and heavy thunderstorms moving in at night. The high for tomorrow will reach 87 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And so the families, the parents of Carmelo Anthony, father of Austin Metcalf, both spoke to CBS Mornings. Carla Hayes, that's Carmelo Anthony's mom.
My son didn't intend to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself.
He's defending himself, self-defense. That's what we're hearing more and more. Defense didn't make out much of a case of self-defense in the actual trial, but I know that's not relevant to certain parties. Andrew Anthony is Carmelo Anthony's father. Andrew Anthony, father. Carla Hayes, mom.
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury. But I was trying to be, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our side.
All-white jury, racism. System is justice system, criminal justice system, systemically racist. Although, just technically, it was an all-white jury. There was Asian, Indian, and Hispanic representation on that jury. Does that matter? I don't know. I don't play the identitarian game. I play the fact game. So, and the substance of law game and the application of the substance of the law to the particular facts. That's the game I play. So you'll have to put that question to Mr. Andrew Anthony and so many of those saying the same thing about this all-white jury. Can an all-black jury judge a white person under the law? What is the combination of or composition of a jury that's required in each case? Does it have to be representative of the jurisdiction precisely on a proportional basis, or is it more the matter of your ability to look at the facts, get an understanding of the law, and apply the latter to the former? I don't know. I guess it depends on your perspective of what justice is. For his part, Eric Metcalf, Austin's dad, he had this to say on CBS Mornings, but he had more to say after he saw what Carmelo Anthony's parents had to say on the same program. This is him first for the interview on CBS.
It's unfortunate to where nobody wins. We've all been hurt by this. Everybody.
That poor boy is fixing to experience a life that I would not wish upon anyone.
Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff, called Anthony's sentencing bittersweet.
What it boils down to for me is this. Austin will never walk through that door again and never give me a hug.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying Eric. Jeff Metcalf, his father's name. I'm thinking of Eric Metcalf, the great receiver, punt returner for the Browns, and for University of Texas. Jeff Metcalf also on forgiveness. Because you'll recall last year, this murder happened in April of last year. And he immediately forgave Carmelo Anthony. But his perspective on forgiveness.
I forgave him. But people need to understand about forgiveness. Forgiveness was not for him. Forgiveness was for me, so I don't carry the rage, the hate, and that around. It will eat me up like cancer.
But some of that was tripped when, as I said, he saw what the comments of Carmelo Anthony's parents on CBS. He did his own interview, his own social media post with this commentary.
Drew Anthony, Kayla, you're cowards. You wouldn't even show up for your son's sentencing or victim statement impact. You abandoned your kid. You left him there. I guess he's no more use to you because you can't get any more GoFundMe money or GoSendGo money. You are grifters. You should be ashamed of yourself. You raised that child, and I swear to God, CPS should come check on those other 3 that you still have. You never once admitted or took accountability. You tried to play victim. The real victim is the one who died, not the one who shoved a knife in his chest. I come to pray with you and show the world we can close the gap of this unbelievable racial divide. And what'd you do? You widen the gap even further. You hire a convicted, baby-shaking felon who's only in it for the money, who gives you bad advice, kicks me out of a press conference. Oh, funny, I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, but I left when asked. I didn't stab anyone. And then you proceeded to gaslight me with your convicted felon, quote, advocate? Minister? Minister of what? Minister irrelevant? Minister of bullshit? How about Minister you? Y'all think I'm a saint? I'm no saint. I'm as human as you. I have emotions. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I don't sin, because I don't walk on water and I don't turn into wine.
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. He's referring to, by the way, to Dominic Alexander, that next-gen guy who served as some sort of family spokesman and has been out there with the Carmelo Anthony devotees, continuing with the race hustle. He is a convicted felon. Yeah, the domestic conviction, domestic violence conviction, a car theft conviction. Now he's a professional race hustler. By the way, I also understand that NextGen, this nonprofit he set up to profit off of his race hustling, has received grants from, among others, the Tides Foundation, George Soros. Interesting little factoid. Some of the reactions picking up on the protesters outside the courthouse, but trying to provide more intellectual form to it. I think generally unsuccessfully. Give you an example, a couple of examples. The intellectual poison that is the identitarianism. Philip Scott is the proprietor of African Diaspora News. And he's got about 2 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. He suggests, does Mr. Scott, that Black Americans try to get on juries when there's going to be a black defendant, or if they're provided the opportunity to sit in a jury where there is a black defendant. And don't tell the truth if you believe the justice system is systemically racist. Don't tell the truth. Play the game so you can get on the jury, so you could get on a jury like the Carmelo Anthony jury, so you could be a holdout and vote to acquit regardless of what the facts are. Because that's justice.
But those of you who do get called to jury service, I think you should go. And you never know. You may be trying to help out a brother or sister. And when you go, when they ask you this question, hey, could you be fair? Don't say, no, I ain't being fair. Like, don't say no stupid crap like that. Please don't. Like, say yes, I can be fair. I can listen to the evidence. And most of us can listen to evidence and be fair, okay? And let's get on these juries, because if we can get on these juries, then if one black person get on a jury, it decreases our chances for conviction. Do you know that? It's all kind of studies about that. About the more black jurors on the jury, the more that we have a chance of being acquitted. Not because black people just want to let go criminality. No, all of us do not agree with criminality. If you're a black person in a black neighborhood committing crimes and being horrible, we want you out of there. We don't want you in the black community. Hell no. But if we see a situation like Carmelo Anthony, right? And even when I was talking to my cousin today, some of these white folks say, well, yeah, he said, touch me and see what happens. Well, you don't have a black person on the jury. They run with idiot thoughts like that, right? All Carmelo said is, if you physically touch me, I will defend myself if you do it. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah. So no. If it's a black criminal, but who victimized a black person, then you can look at the law, because we don't want black criminals in our neighborhoods victimizing black people. But if it's a black person who victimized a white person, that's when you have to intercede and say, I'm going to let this brother or sister off because racial justice. Oh. Okay. And this was picked up on by other podcasters like Gin and Juice, another popular podcast. I understand Melissa Fredericks and her sister. Melissa Fredericks is the wife of a comedian who goes by Kevin on Stage, Kevin Fredericks, Kev on Stage. I guess he's a comedian with some following. This is Melissa Fredericks and her sister being a little bit more explicit than even Mr. Scott about how you approach jury service.
If they say, can you be fair? Don't say, no, I'm not finna put a black man in jail. Don't say that, okay? Because if that's what you're gonna say, you could have stayed home. You have to go and be like, no, I will hear the evidence. I can be fair. Don't say, I hate white people and I don't care what he did. Don't do that. That's what people were doing in this case. Okay, and then everybody's like in an uproar because there's no black people on the jury, when damn near half of the black people who could have been on the jury cancel themselves out.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Okay. So don't do that. See, somebody in the comments talking about that's what got me put out. Don't do that. When you go up there.
It's funny, the underlying problem, I suppose, is not that they told the truth, but that there's no problem with people who would say, yeah, I hate white people, and so no matter what the facts are, I'm going to support an outcome that is adverse to the interests of a white person. That's the larger cultural problem, not being too honest so that you're excused from jury service. Don't you think? Or is that just me? Larry Reed, another podcaster, says it's time to leave. Time for Black Americans to pick up and head out.
Integration has had great benefits. I think now, unless you must stay in America, unless you are supposed to be in the USA. Otherwise, if you're Black, integration has had great benefits. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this as a collective, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. I repeat, integration has had great benefits, Black people. For some of us. Let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. See, civil rights did not make white people that are infected with whiteness stop being racist. They still raised racist children that run this country to this day.
Infected with whiteness, yeah. Pull up stakes and head out. We had a good run with integration, but that time is now past. I mean, you're free to leave, of course. Just as I've been saying all week and discussing this case, emphasizing this is so much bigger than a black-white issue. Other perspectives from Black Americans, including an officer of the court who is apparently serious about being an attorney, as, say, compared to Jasmine Crockett. Dante Mills, also a man of the left, self-described lawyer.
I'm a lawyer. It's my profession. I truly believe in it. I think the law worked here. I'm also a law professor, and I teach my students that you have to look at individual cases. Texas has a stand your ground law where he's not required to leave that tent, even if it's not, sportsmanlike to be there. But you still can't take an escalation. You can't turn a shove into a stabbing, and that's what the jury saw here. He still gets the benefit of the law, like stand your ground, like self-defense, but the jury just rejected it because they said he escalated too much. But we have to really pay attention to the facts of this case, and I think in this case, the jury got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a Black father with 5 boys responded to this protester from earlier in the week. The Black mother of 5 boys who says, "What do I tell my boys now? What do I tell my boys?" after the Carmelo Anthony guilty verdict. Well, this Black father has a suggestion, the obvious one.
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more. What do you want us to do?
I also have 5 boys. She doesn't know what to do after the Carmelo incident. Like what to tell her sons, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and try something. Today, boys, when you go out into school, Don't stab any other kids. You think you guys can do that? You feel good about that, Lee? You feel good about that, Ace?
Yeah.
Oh, you're Aunt Trail. This is Ace. So, is that a good commitment from everybody? We're not going to stab any kids today?
Probably not.
Hey, try that, lady. That might work.
It's just crazy enough to work. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Answer line. Margot in Burr Ridge.
Yeah, I guess we're all finding out who the real racists are, and it's not really white people. Does anybody remember the O.J. Simpson trial? His murders occurred in Brentwood, which is, of course, he would have gotten a white jury there. So they didn't have the trial there. They had it in downtown L.A., where it was all black people. That is how he got off. So this, it may not have been said then, but this guy's saying the silent part out loud, finally. And that's the truth. They're very racist. A lot of black people just are.
Oh, thanks for the call, Margaret. They bought into this identitarian hate, so there's no question. Although, the comments about Frisco, Texas, and all-white jury, wasn't all white, but the all-white jury, so on and so forth. Frisco, Texas, the whole town conspired against Carmelo Anthony. That's what rapper Willie D of the Ghetto Boys, G-E-T-O, Ghetto, for those of you scoring at home. Willie D, that's what he said.
The whole town wanted Carmelo Anthony to go down. The whole white town wanted Carmelo Anthony to go down. It's just like Attorney Dennis Sperling said in an earlier episode that aired here on Willie D Live today, is that these people all know each other. They go to church together. They hang out together. They attend the same university schools. They at the same cookouts. They oftentimes are family. They know each other, and they don't want to be the one to let the black guy off the hook for killing the white boy.
Yeah, no, at the white cabal in Frisco, Texas. What's interesting about that is Carmelo Anthony's parents used that Give, Send, Go money, the $600,000 that was raised, to rent a home in Frisco, Texas, in a gated community. Imagine. Frank, Board of Trade.
This is not cultural. This is not racial. This kid was an undiagnosed psychopath. If he'd been in front of a board of, let's say, doctors, they would have figured him out. This problem exists in our society, but we continue to turn it into a legal and cultural issue. It's a waste. Look at his brainstem. Look at his chemicals. He's a psychopath.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Frank. Yeah, I'm not so sure we're well positioned to make a clinical diagnosis of Carmelo Anthony, but there's definitely cultural issues that surround cases like this. Massive cultural issues. And it's not something that will be addressed with post-incident clinical diagnoses. Because we're not just talking about the perpetrator here and the victim, are we? All right, we'll pick this up in Open Mic Friday.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
The Supreme Court's decision striking down racial gerrymandering. The Supreme Court said enough is enough, and in this ruling, the justices raised the bar. They said if you want to challenge a map as discriminatory, you now have to prove actual intent, not just point to statistical disparities.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yes, that time of the week, Open Mic Friday, where we take your calls. 312-642-5600. alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. We take your calls with compliments, comments, criticisms, concerns. General Crack Pottery, always a staple. Anything you want to discuss? 312-642-5600. alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. Let's start it with Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Another great show. But hey, this is about that soccer thing that's infecting us right now. And as you know, I mean, I consider soccer an activity like, taking a shower, tying your shoes, stuff like that, not at the same level. And
if you flop while doing it, yeah.
Yeah, and but the thing that impressed me the most is on TV when I saw a commercial. I don't know if it was in a bar. I don't know if they're selling wings or beer or whatever. And the actors and actresses are going absolutely berserk over some soccer thing going on TV. And I got to tell you, I was impressed by these actors and actresses because you got to dig deep, deep, deep into your acting reservoir to come up with that kind of phony enthusiasm about something like soccer. And
Yeah.
I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, you got to really find the motivation, don't you, Rick? Thanks for the call. But again, we're going to find out something at the end of this FIFA soccer dealio.
This match will determine once and for all which nation is the greatest on earth, Mexico or Portugal.
I think it's going to be Portugal. Just a prediction. Ron, Southside.
Hey, Dan, great show, man. I tell you, those comments for some of those people, but since I already had made my mind up to talk about the Bears, I have been listening to some people, Dan, and they were saying, well, if the Bears leave, this is going to be the real eye-opener. Is it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
You heard of Citadel, Boeing, Tyson Food, all the other, the Safety Act. So, no. I don't want to hear that. This is an eye-opener. No, it's not. People's eyes are still going to be closed, Dan. You name all the businesses that leave. So to put more emphasis, in particular, I hear these grown folks, I don't care where the Bears play. So I just had to say that, but Dan, it will not make a difference in this state. I have to see it, but just making this assumption, the beloved Bears are going to leave, people are going to feel things differently. No, they're not. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend, Dan, and talk to you next week.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Yeah, I'm sort of in your camp. Obviously, the Bears have a lot more social capital than, a hedge fund or a food company, even an airline maker or airplane maker. But I'm sort of in the same camp. I just, the rap that you'll hear about, being a defender of the taxpayers from Pritzker and the effort that was made and the Bears fumbled and this and that. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, am I going to a Bears game? Most people are not. Too expensive. So do the 60 or 80,000 that go, and whatever the translation will be in season ticket holders, I mean, do they make a difference in electoral outcomes in the state? Is this going to be their motivation to be more civically engaged, to make a difference in electoral outcomes? Probably not. So I'm pretty skeptical that, even the Bears have left. It's a great argument. It makes a great commercial when you provide it with the other contextual information, some of which Ron was mentioning, the exodus of population, the quality of life indicators where Illinois ranks, which is the bottom 2 or 3 in every single one. Makes a good commercial. But, the people that are clued in are already clued in, and they represent a minority of the electorate. And the people who aren't seem intransigent. What will motivate them to make different choices? I don't know. And I mean, the Republican Party, as the alternative, is so feeble and impotent. Generally speaking, there are few exceptions occasionally, but I mean, in terms of an alternative, it doesn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence or enthusiasm. So, that's a recipe for the status quo, which is what I expect. And the status quo not being static, the status quo is the ongoing decline of the state, the decay. Eduardo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. The Sudan League over there in Belfast, Ireland, you can expect any pro-immigration politician to be not doing well in future elections because of that incident over there.
Well, perhaps. Thanks for the call, Eduardo. I mean, Ireland is politically, no different than most of the rest of Western Europe, which is a basket case. These Irish politicians are all open borders leftists too, identitarian goons. I mean, yeah, Keir Starmer is, his days are numbered. They were numbered before this. The number may be shrinking more quickly than day by day. The Secretary of Defense just resigned, saying, I can't serve Keir Starmer with Keir Starmer's PM because I think he's diminishing our national security. Pretty big indictment from your Secretary of Defense. So things are not going well for two-tier Keir. But, how far and wide and quickly that spreads in the rest of Western Europe beyond sort of mealy-mouthed rhetoric, I don't know. I think you have to, with respect to these people that are so late to adopt anything resembling common sense on these major societal issues, I think you have to wait to see it happen. It's very much like we talked about with COVID. It's sort of the madness of crowds problem. And they're so in their own silo, and can be, because of the control of cultural and civic institutions. The brainwashing happens at the macro level, and starting from a very early age, because they have control of all these institutions like K through 12 school systems. And the sort of deprogramming, the awakening happens individually. Mass delusion, individual recovery. Takes time. Tom in Palos Heights.
Good morning, Dan. I'm a long-time listener of yours. And I just like to comment about not hearing anything up from Daryl Bailey.
Daryl.
About,
and his other brother, Daryl, right?
Well, okay.
What about Bailey?
As many as we can get. I'm with a group of senior citizens.
Okay.
And we went through the Grief Share program, and then we found out that we got to keep ourselves occupied. And one of the things we want to do is get behind Bailey as much as we can. We can't do it financially, but time. And one of the things we never hear him much on has not been mentioned on your program at all today.
Well, I did actually mention him when I asked Marty McLaughlin about people being punitive in the direction of the Bears. Darren Bailey posting on X, if the Bears leave Illinois, they should have to rebuild Arlington Park, which is a completely asinine statement. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it. And Marty McLaughlin didn't have a response for it either. So, I mean, that may be why Darren Bailey's not breaking through his comments like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, is there a way that we could he's going to have a talk at in the Drake Hotel in Oak Brook on June the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Would it do us any good to go listen to that? I mean, can we somehow get involved with, maybe if we have to write letters or call up you or call the various people to get him going? You don't hear of them at all.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's a question for the Bailey campaign, Tom. I don't know what to tell you on that one. I'm not part of that campaign, but I know, from all of their big pronouncements that they got it handled. Bailey and Del Mar and their little cabal from Southern Illinois have it all handled. They got it all figured out. So yeah, go ahead. So Southern Illinois lead the way. Darren Bailey and Southern Illinois lead the way. That's the choice the Republican Party makes. So happy to stand aside and watch you show us how it's done. Roy in Glen Ellen.
Oh, well played on his other brother, Daryl. That was quite funny.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Bob Newhart. Hat tip to Bob Newhart. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught this, but Jasmine Crockett blasted you the other day.
Is that right?
When she was talking about if a 300-pound man is on me, beating me down, then she said, we're not talking about golfers.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 300-pound man. So I guess you're not tough, Dan.
Yeah, right. I'm not a football player. I'm a golfer. Thanks for the call, Roy. Yeah. No, I got that. That's fine. Yeah. We like to try to stay svelte so, we can have that full rotation. I've been insulted, much more devastating fashion by much deeper intellects than Jasmine Crockett, so I take no umbrage. Ralph and Rantoul.
Good morning. And I'm not going to say anything bad about golf. It's a fine hobby for people.
Hey.
That's it. But hey, look, the Bears, number one. I don't believe that the Bears are going to move. They to me are Lucy with the football. They'll figure out some way to get what they want out of Pritzker and BLM Brandon, even though the two of them combined probably aren't as smart as the football that Lucy is holding. And number two, if they do move, I don't think they should be called the Chicago Bears. Like New England has got the Patriots. I think they should either be called the Tri-State Bears, maybe the Midwest Bears, because
they are the monsters of the Midway. I mean, they can keep that sort of sub,
no, monsters
moniker
of the Midwest.
Yeah,
That's
no, I know.
What we'd have to do now.
Yeah, I get it. Well,
but I don't think they're going to move. Somehow, somewhere,
so the Jets
all going to get buggered up.
So the Jets and the Giants should have to be called the East Rutherford Jets, or Giants, or what name
the
change?
Jersey Jets.
Jersey Jets, a nice alliteration.
I think it's got more cachet. Jersey Jets and the
Gotham Giants. I mean, could you expand Gotham to Jersey?
The double G, the alliteration would be good. Mm-hmm. Gotham Giants. You'd have to change the pronunciation.
All right, Ralph. Well, we also, by the way, I don't know if you've got any comments on this. We've been working on it diligently the last several weeks. We have to change that line about being the pride and joy of Illinois in the Bears fight song, too.
True, and I'm also working on this is a slow catch. People are catching on to this slowly, but I'm pushing it hard everywhere. Canada, because if they're Canadians, it's Canada. So I've stopped pronouncing it Canada just because it's silly. It's Canada.
Okay. All right. Our future 51st state. Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Ralph. Okay. Lou in Western Pennsylvania.
Dan, I have a question for you and then a fun fact. Okay. What memories or stories do you have about Chicago baseball announcers, White Sox or Cubs, and any of the home run calls or expressions that they are associated with?
Well, you can't say baseball announcer and expressions and not talk about Harry Carey on the Cubs side, although he was with the White Sox too, and the Cardinals. But and Hawk Harrelson on the Sox. I mean, Hawk was great. Hawk and Wimpy were my favorite baseball duo. I mean, Steve Stone is a very good announcer too, and color guy. But Hawk and Wimpy were a great team, and all the Hawk is cinch it up and hunker down, put it on the board. And this game is over. I mean, all of them. Duck snort. I mean, it's just so many. And Harry, I'm probably the immediate Harry thing that comes to mind. In addition to the mispronouncing of players' names, the name assassinator, Andre Dunstan, Sean Dawson, that kind of stuff, is the Jody Davis. Jody Davis, the king of Wrigley Field, when he would hit a home run. That comes to mind. Yeah. There's a few memories. Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah. Right. And then he also had the one, Carey had the one, it might be, it could be, it is.
Yeah.
And my fun fact
Jack
for
Brickhouse,
you
hey! Yeah, all right.
Hey!
Yeah.
The fun fact I have is from 1933 to 1936, Ronald Reagan was a part of the announcing team for the Chicago White Sox.
He was?
Yes,
didn't he do some announcing like in Iowa for the Cubs?
That's where it started.
Uh-huh.
And then he did move. I think he was there before that, and then he moved in. But that's what I Googled.
Oh, okay. Well, and what was and do you know, or do you have to Google this? Where Ronald Reagan played college football?
Oh, wait a minute. No, I will not. I knew. Yes, it was out west.
Well, if you call
Nixon.
if you call Dixon out west, but okay.
No, I don't have that. I do know Nixon played out at Whittier College.
Yes, yes. Reagan played at Eureka College here in Illinois.
Oh, Eureka. There you go.
Yeah. All right, Lou. It's fun talking Illinois sports trivia announcers with you. Rolf in Downers Grove.
Morning, Dan. Yeah, I really want to tell you that I enjoyed the cigar night the other night. It was awesome with Alex and Sean and you. Really great time. Two quick questions for you. Number one, fake, phony Dr. Jill Biden. She has a new book out, and so does Sleepy Joe. He's got his coming out very soon. Now, here's my question. Do you think both were written by the AutoPen? That's number one.
Mm-hmm. I'll take that as a
Number
rhetorical question. Yeah, go ahead.
And number two, a golf question. Do you know what a helmet is?
What is a helmet?
Okay, when you scream a helmet, so let's say you're a guy, you're playing in a match, and you got a couple guys that are, they're putting their grip down to see what's out of the grip, and a lot of these guys will take their club and they'll scoop it up. Let's say it's a 2-footer. Here's what you do. You just scream out to him and say, hey, that's a helmet. And they look at you and say, what's a helmet? Put your helmet on. You're going back in.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rolf. Of course, now we're going to get Harryisms. Spelling names backwards. That's a good one. Like Imas Asos. See, Sammy doesn't spell backwards. It's Imos Asos. Yes. Very good. Tim in Woodstock.
Hi, good morning, Dan. Just getting back to the Iran situation, I guess I'm a little disillusioned with President Trump. I mean, I love him. I still support him. He's done so much good. But sometimes I worry that maybe he's a little too married to the art of the deal. And for him, failure looks like him being able to negotiate something. In other words, I'm a little concerned that he wants the military to block for him, but he wants to cross the finish line with the deal. And his comment a few weeks ago, or maybe shorter than that, that he's open to meeting the Ayatollah. I don't know. It just started to sound a little wishy-washy. But I don't buy with you. I don't buy the pounding the last few days has brought the Iranians back to accepting U.S. demands. And I guess I just want to say that the only ending I think worthy of the American soldiers killed in the operation so far, and some 30 to 40,000 Iranian protesters, who were many of whom I think were counting on Trump to eradicate this regime, would be just that the removal of the cancer that is the IRGC, the radical Islamic leadership. He told the IRGC months ago to lay down their arms or else. Well, and I think from the beginning it should have been, we will not install, from the outset, I think we should have been openly stated that we desire regime change along with the suffering people of Iran, but we will not install it. We'll remove the cancer. And I just don't understand why he's stopping short of that right now. Dan.
Well, thanks for the call, Tim. I mean, I have some of the same questions as we mentioned earlier in the show, as we discussed with the University of Kentucky professor Farley. And I guess we'll have to wait to see the details if this MOU that Trump is describing as a settlement, and the Iranians are describing as something slightly less than, but they're essentially suggesting something like what Trump has suggested. If this is formalized into an agreement and there is some sort of signing ceremony this weekend in Europe, as President Trump sort of intimated, then we'll see. We'll see those details, and we'll have to make an assessment once the full picture is presented. But yeah, I mean, it seems like the idea that the threat to take Carg Island and the Tomahawk strikes the other day, resulted in some sort of, realization by the Iranians that this can't go on any longer seems implausible to me. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking the call. I just want to thank Culver's Butterburger in Leander, Texas, for giving my daughter Mary a job. So this last Tuesday, I sent a picture. I don't know if you ever saw it to the show, but between 11 and 1, she was running out food to people in their cars. So, and it's a great business. It was, received very well by the community, and also it's good business because it attracts things. So that's just a response to, to Ridgeway and the decision that he and his wife made.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's a lot of positive things out there that people do, and so I just wanted to pass that along. And I really appreciate all the advocacy you do for the disabled and that type of thing. So
my pleasure. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for sharing the story. Glad to see your daughter's working for Culver's. Great outfit. Love the Butterburgers. Love the soups too. Chicken noodle soup there is excellent. Verlon, Michigan.
Yeah. Since Ron DeSantis put on the ballot cutting property taxes, phasing them in, I've been getting a lot of news reports through my phone for the past week from CBS and ABC saying that they're going to have to cut city services in Florida across the board, from police, firefighter, park districts, and I've been getting some citizen journalist news feeds coming through my phone saying that the property value has dropped, been cut in half for a home for $250,000 has been cut to $130,000, and homeowners can't rent their homes. They're foregoing first month's rent. They're foregoing security deposits, and the time to get out is now. And what caught my attention, to bring it to your attention, is they named Naples, Fort Myers, and I think the mayor of and Coral County and the mayor of Jackson, whatever Jackson down there, Jackson County, I guess. He said that the property value is going down, and they're going to have to cut city services. So I want to know, how true is that?
It's not true. It's not only not true. It's asinine. It doesn't stand up to logic. I'm reducing taxes on property taxes on your property, and that's going to result in a decline in property value. How does that work? That makes no sense. And by the way, and prices like in Southwest Florida, which I know something about. I mean, they're off of they're off of COVID highs. Of course they were. That wasn't sustainable. But in terms of the price points that I see and the demand, they're still increasing. It's just increasing at a slower rate than they did during the pandemic, when people were fleeing blue states like Illinois like they were on fire, because they, effectively were. They were totalitarian dystopias, even more so than they are in a routine basis. So no, that's not true. I mean, that makes no sense. I know the Wall Street Journal opined in this direction too. DeSantis has gone through this. I mean, you're talking about the explosion in revenue that local governments have received because of the explosion in property values over the last decade. And we had all these services back when municipal governments had 40% of the funds that they realized, for example, last fiscal year. But now they can't make police and fire and schools and city services work. Of course, that's nonsense. It's nonsense. Okay. DeSantis is so good on this. He is so on top of it. And if don't listen to these propagandists. Just think about what makes sense from just a strictly economic Econ 101 perspective. If you tax something, you get less of it. If you tax something, you diminish its value. You get less value. If you reduce taxes on it, you increase the thing you're reducing taxes on, reducing the taking on, and increasing the value. I mean, it's just that's the foundation from which you start.
Okay, it just caught my eye because CBS and ABC.
Yeah, well, CBS and ABC, yeah. Right? Yeah, right. Thanks for the call. Right, the government-centric, government-run press corps, championing big government at every turn. Of course. Jeff in Elk Grove.
Hey there. Ping-ponging back to I think it was an opening day in the early mid-2000s, panning the camera at Sox Park. We got the best this, the best that, and Hawk says, and the best poontang. And
hello.
Wimpy says, that's right. It's Hawk with an H. Harrelson.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Okay, that's aggressive. Yeah, I mean, I guess Hawk was trying to outdo Arnie Harris across town with always putting the camera on the pretty ladies at Wrigley Field, right? Whew. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, they're looking for a golfer with grit for the remake of True Grit. I nominate you.
Well, thank you so much, George. Appreciate it. By the way, just on the Jasmine Crockett thing, she, since golf was brought up and her comment, 300-pound football player, we aren't talking about golfers. Again, we talked about this, but she made this comment earlier in the week about the deadly weapon, the 5-inch blade that was used by Carmelo Anthony to kill Austin Metcalf. She said this.
Awful. Wait a minute. Was it a switch? I don't know what he had. It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army. Like with the little scissors and everything and whatever.
Yeah.
So it was small. Well, I would have argued the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
Yeah, that's an attorney saying that. Wow, it was not a deadly weapon, although it was used to kill somebody. So by definition, it was used as a deadly weapon. Back here at home, a man who carjacked a driver while armed with a Swiss Army knife attached to a stick has been sentenced to 8 years in prison. So, this guy should call Jasmine Crockett. Maybe she can get him off with their "it's not a deadly weapon" rap. Chuck and Delavan to close us out. Where were you last week, Chuck? We were concerned.
Well, first-time caller, long-time listener.
Yeah.
Sorry about last week. I was pulled over in Sharon, Wisconsin for doing 22 and a 20. There's nothing going on this weekend. I want you to drive up here to Mars. I got 70 packets of sweet and sour sauce. When the lady turned her back at the Chinese restaurant, I stuffed them in the bag, so I'll split them with you.
Such a deal, Chuck. You make a very attractive offer. Thanks so much for joining us all week on Chicago's Morning Answer. Have a great weekend. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
They are very dishonorable people to deal with. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump just posted that about a